This is Guardian Radio, your station for up-to-the-minute news, intelligent, interactive, and engaging conversation. 96.9 FM. The views and opinions of the hosts and guests are their own and do not necessarily reflect the position of the management and staff of Guardian Network.
Good morning. Dengue cases continue to rise. Bahamians is told to keep a close eye on Tropical Storm Lee. And the Education Minister defending exam results. Plus, in our interview, we are talking with the Director of Education live in studio. It's all straight ahead this morning. I'm Dwight Strachan, and this is Morning Blend.
Wake up, it's a new day. Wake up, it's a new day. It's the start of a new way. You know that it's here. It's the start of the end of the old way. Revolution. Wake up, it's a new day. Wake up, it's a new day.
Good morning again, Bahamas. It is Wednesday, September 6th, 2023. This is Morning Blend on Guardian Radio 96.9. Again, I'm Dwight Strachan. In a moment, Chester Robards will be joining us. Also this morning in business, we are talking about 5G. BTC and Cable Bahamas say they can't bear the cost of the 5G rollout alone. What does that mean? We're going to get into that and more in our business hour. That's all straight ahead. But first, it's time for The Overnight, the latest breaking news from while you were sleeping, and the top national and international headlines this morning. In the overnight, some Bahamians may have recently contracted dengue fever and not realized it because they have little to no symptoms. That's according to Health Minister Dr. Michael Darville. Individuals who contracted dengue in 2011, when serotypes 1 and 2 were common, and contract those same serotypes this time around may have the immunological profile to fend off any serious or noticeable sickness. Darville making the comments about the viral infection as he clarified that serotype 3, which appears to be spreading most prominently, is not more harmful than 1 or 2. He says the majority of the cases found in New Providence at this time are type 3. He says they believe the last dengue outbreak in the country of any severe proportion was in 2011 with the serotypes 1 and 2. Darville says there are 52 cases in the country now, with the cases confined to New Providence and Grand Bahama. Health officials say there were over 200 confirmed cases in 2011 and more than 7,000 suspected cases. Symptoms of dengue include headache, fever, nausea, vomiting, rash, aches, and pain, such as eye pain, muscle, bone, and joint pain. Education Minister Glenn Santa Martin says that the FNM Chairman Dr. Dwayne Sands' classification of the 2023 BGCSE national exams as the worst results in history were, quote, obscenely opportunistic and misrepresenting the facts. In a recorded statement released on Monday, Sands said that the Ministry of Education has produced the worst results in history, yet, quote, instead of strengthening the team at education, the Prime Minister decides to weaken the leadership by removing Minister of State Zane Lightbourne. Well, Hannah Martin fired back, pointing out that the worst results in the past 5 years were under the FNM. Again, she called the comments obscenely opportunistic and said, quote, these are not the worst results in history. The worst results in the last 5 years, in fact, occurred in 2020 and 2021. The chairman sat in cabinet, and it was during this tenure that the nation saw the worst era of neglect in the history of education. More response to comments from FNM Chairman Sands while chiding FNM Chairman Sands for using uncivil language towards the Davis administration. PLP Chairman Fred Mitchell, who's Minister of Foreign Affairs, suggested had some harsh words for Sands as well. He responded to Sands' comments that the cabinet shuffle amounted to nothing more than putting lipstick on a pig. Striking back, Mitchell said in a statement, saying, quote, since Sands knows what a pig looks like, he should find great comfort when he wakes up and looks in the mirror. The POP chairman saying, quote, it is sad and reprehensible that an idle political party like the FNM with a record of abject failure over 4.5 years of governance cannot be civil in its language in public dialogue. A murder convict sentenced to 35 years imprisonment, 38-year-old Marcelo McKenzie, convicted of the June 28, 2020 murder of Godfrey Rob Sawyer following a trial. According to the prosecution, Sawyer was on the porch of his home on Jackson Street in Nassau Village when he got into an argument with two men. Sawyer was shot during the confrontation and the men fled in a white minibus. Police officers on patrol in Pinewood Gardens stopped the bus and arrested McKenzie and Jamal Armbrister. Following a chase, Armbrister was killed by an off-duty police officer last October after he allegedly tried to rob the officer's wife outside their home in Elizabeth Estates. After considering the circumstances of the case and McKenzie's previous convictions for a firearm, Justice Renee McKay found that 35 years was an appropriate sentence. The time will be further reduced by the time McKenzie spent on remand before he was granted bail in 2021 and the time he spent in custody following his conviction on May 31st. And a Supreme Court judge directing the acquittal of a murder accused who had been previously called upon to present a defense. Justice Renee McKay reversing an earlier decision that required Anton Lodemus to present a defense to charges of murder and abetment to murder. Prosecutors had accused him and his older brother, Dwayne Lodemus, of the March 19, 2019 shooting death of Elroy Burrows outside a bar on Mackey Street. At the close of the prosecution's case last week, McKay had called upon both brothers to present a defense. They elected to remain silent, and their lawyers and prosecutor made closing submissions. McKay told the 9-member jury that during an in-depth review of the evidence while preparing her summation, she was satisfied that Anton Lodemus does not have a case to answer. Consequently, she directed the jury's 4 women to unanimously acquit Lodemus of the charges. McKay will give her summation in respect to Dwayne Lodemus on Thursday. Overseas, North Korean leader Kim Jong-un's possible trip to Russia might be like his first one in 2019, a rattling 20-hour ride aboard a yellow and green armored train that is a quirky symbol of his family's dynastic leadership. In what would be his first foreign travel since the start of the pandemic, U.S. officials say Kim may visit Russia this month for a meeting with Russian President Vladimir Putin, possibly to advance talks on North Korean arms sales to refill Russian reserves drained by its war in Ukraine. According to U.S. reports, a potential venue for their meeting is in the eastern city of Vladivostok, the site of their first meeting in April 2019, where Putin is expected to attend the annual Eastern Economic Forum that takes place on the campus of the Far Eastern Federal University from Sunday to Wednesday. Kim, the 39-year-old authoritarian leader, how he's going to get there remains the focus of media attention. And major roads in New Delhi are teeming with giant posters and billboards announcing India's presidency of this week's summit of the Group of 20 Nations. And one leader's picture, smiling benignly from every traffic circle, stands out from the rest. Prime Minister Narendra Modi. Modi is also on the front page of major newspapers, and Indian TV channels are flashing his picture accompanied by the Hindu word Vishwaguru, a leader of the world. In public speeches, his ministers are touting him as a steward of a surging India. It's an unabashed homage to the populist prime minister and staunch Hindu nationalist who's celebrated by his supporters and by his party as someone who's leading a developing nation of more than 1.4 billion people to a bright new future. But it's also drawing criticism. Experts say that while India's presidency of the summit represents a moment of pride for the country, Modi's government has also used it to market the leader's image and elevate his party's prospects ahead of a national vote scheduled for next year. And the UN Weather Agency says Earth endured its hottest northern hemisphere summer ever measured, with a record warm August capping a season of brutal and deadly temperatures. That's according to the World Meteorological Organization. Last month was not only the hottest August scientists ever recorded by far with modern equipment, but it was also the second hottest month measured, behind only July of 2023. August was about 2.7 degrees Fahrenheit or 1.5 degrees Celsius warmer than pre-industrial averages. That's the threshold that the world is trying not to pass, though scientists are more concerned about rises in temperatures over decades, not merely a blip over a month's time. The world's oceans, more than 70% of the Earth's surface, were the hottest ever recorded at about 69.8 degrees Fahrenheit or 21 degrees Celsius, and have set high temperature marks for 3 consecutive months. In sports, less than a year after signing a professional baseball contract with a substantial signing bonus with the Texas Rangers, Bahamian Sebastian Walcott impressing his club to the point where he's been promoted to High A in minor league baseball. Walcott getting the nod at just 17 years old. He's coming off playing in the Arizona Complex League at rookie-level baseball for the Rangers, and is the first minor leaguer for the Rangers to play the full season at 17 since Michael DeLeon. DeLeon did it in 2014 when he was promoted to Low A, from Low A to Double A baseball. Walcott is now playing for the Hickory Crawdads in the South Atlantic League. They sit in third in that league and second in the South Division with a 65-55 win-loss record. Bahami making his debut on Sunday, and he was in the lineup as a designated hitter in a 9-0 trouncing of the Crawdads, the Greensboro Grasshoppers, 65-58. You can read more about this in today's Guardian Sports section. From U.S. Open tennis, an exciting night. In the men's quarterfinals, Ben Shelton is just 20 years old, still new to the whole professional tennis scenario. He's equipped with a good serve, but he didn't know he could come through in other ways when it mattered most, but he did it last night on a muggy night. He hit 14 aces and hit 11 double fault. Shelton using one blink-and-you-missed-it booming return to save a set point in the pivotal tiebreaker and reaching his first Grand Slam semifinal by edging Frances Tiafoe 6-2, 3-6, 7-6, 7, and 6-2 at the U.S. Open in a back-and-forth contest filled with huge hitting by both going late into the night. 2 missed shots by Tiafoe, helping Shelton to never look back. The matchup, which began Tuesday evening and ended after midnight this morning, was the first major quarterfinal between two African-American men in the Open era, which dates back to 1968. Shelton will now face Novak Djokovic on Friday for a berth in the final. Djokovic, a 36-year-old from Serbia, reaching his 47th Grand Slam semifinal, breaking a tie with Roger Federer for the most by a man by defeating Taylor Fritz 6-1, 6-4, 6-4 yesterday. That's sports, and that's the overnight. Time for your first look at weather. In your first look at weather, brought to you by Nescafe Coffee, Bahama is being told to keep a close eye on what is now Tropical Storm Lee. This was just a system yesterday that became a depression and then a tropical storm very quickly. Lee, approaching hurricane strength, expected to rapidly intensify into an extremely dangerous hurricane by the weekend. As of 5 o'clock this morning, Lee was about 1,265 miles east-southeast of the northern Leeward Islands. Lee is moving toward the west-northwest near 14 miles per hour, and this motion is expected to continue for the next few days, with a slight reduction in forward speed. Now, maximum sustained winds are 65 miles per hour with higher gusts. Continued steady to rapid strengthening is forecast, and Lee could become a hurricane today and a major hurricane in a couple of days. We're continuing to watch this. There are some indications by the models that this could take a turn away from the Bahamas, but it will be a close call, and we must pay attention. We'll keep you posted on the very latest. Weather-wise, outside of Lee, we've got a weak surface troughing near the southeast Bahamas that will continue to support some showers and thunderstorms across the central and southeastern islands. As a weak high pressure across the area will maintain light to gentle breezes, swells will continue subsiding while impacting the chain of islands as well. Boating and beaching conditions will gradually improve as swells continue to subside, but boaters and swimmers should continue to exercise caution due to light to moderate north to northeasterly swells and the risk of rip currents along Atlantic exposures. For all areas today, we're looking at partly sunny and warm conditions with a few scattered showers and isolated thunderstorms, possibly across the southeast and central islands. Mainly fair and mild tonight with isolated showers across the southeastern islands. For boaters, a small craft caution is in effect for Atlantic exposures. Winds northeast to east at 10 to 15 knots, falling light and variable at times. Seas 2 to 4 feet near shore and in sheltered areas, but building up to 5 feet along Atlantic exposures in north-northeasterly swells. Temperature-wise today, we're looking at highs getting to around 92 Fahrenheit, 33 Celsius, but it will feel warmer than that, about 98 Fahrenheit on the heat index, 37 Celsius. Overnight lows tonight getting down about 77 Fahrenheit, 25 Celsius. That's your first look at weather this morning. We'll have a look at the tropics and more on what's happening with Lee and your extended outlook coming up. This first look at weather brought to you by Nescafe Coffee. Elevate your coffee experience with Nescafe Gold. It's time for a break, but when we come back, we're discussing the day's top stories right here on your home for fresh news and smart talk all day. Guardian Radio 96.9.
Tired of banks forcing you to use technology to bank the way they want you to? Your convenience is important. So no matter what your banking needs, Commonwealth Bank's friendly staff are always available in branch for that personal one-on-one service. But when you choose technology, our online and mobile banking app offers you state-of-the-art functionality. The choice is yours. Commonwealth Bank. Bank the way you want.
Earning zero interest on your savings at the bank? With as little as $100, you can start earning interest on your money while you're sleeping, eating, or standing in line at the bank with the CFAL Savings Express Plan. Ready to invest? Start by putting $1,000 into our mutual funds and earn interest there too. Because at CFAL, your interest is our interest. Visit CFAL.com to start now. CFAL. growing wealth for future generations of Bahamians.
Screws and Fasteners World, Balfour Avenue and Palm Beach Street, has those hard-to-find fasteners for you right now. You can find stainless steel regular hex, carriage bolts, galvanized bolts, threaded rods, nails, self-tap screws, sex bolts, anchor bolts, turnbuckles, masonry tools, hand tools, and weed whacker strings. Check out the ropes and car body fasteners, too. Special orders are welcome. It's your #1 fastener store. Screws and Fasteners World, Balfour Avenue and Palm Beach Streets. Call 326-1976.
We've been with you from the very start, leading the way and providing you with the best in primetime sporting experiences. From one goal to the next, you can count on us for full access to the best sports channels at home or on the go. Make Rev your only choice. Visit Rev.bs. Every match, every game, every moment. Rev, your home for sports.
America completely run out of it.
Wherever you're headed, the Custom Computers Know-How team is standing by to help guide you in the East and the West. We now have 2 convenient locations on Patton Street in Palmdale and our newest store in the Caves Village Shopping Plaza through the Blake Road entrance. Discover the latest products by top international brands and the knowledge you need to unleash tomorrow's technology today. Drop by Custom Computers out east or out west. We're open Saturdays from 10 till 4.
Too many debt bills? Overdue on loan payments? Improve your credit score and credit report with the Bahamas Credit Bureau. Shrink your debt payments with a debt consolidation loan and built-in savings that pays you 5% interest. Call 823-4374.
This is Guardian Radio 96.9 FM. Fresh news, smart talk, all day.
Wake up, it's a new day. Wake up, it's a new day. It's the start of a new way. You know that it's here. It's the start of the end of the old way.
Welcome back to Morning Blend here on Guardian Radio 96.9. We're streaming live on GuardianTalkRadio.com and on the Guardian Radio app for smart devices. We're also on your televisions on Cable Bahamas Channel 969 and BTC Float Channel 612. You can tweet us at MorningBlend969 or Facebook.com/MorningBlend969. Text us on the Guardian Radio text line powered by BTC 422-4796. Standard text rate supply. Once again, I'm Dwight Strachan. In a moment, Chester Robards will be joining us. Also this morning, we're going to be talking with the Director of Education. We've got a lot to talk to her about with the national examination results and the reopening of schools for the new school year and more. That's coming up in just a bit. And later in business, we're going to get into some big business news, including what BTC and Cable Bahamas are saying about 5G and why they can't bear the cost of rolling out 5G alone. And more of what's in the news this morning. So that's all straight ahead. But let's begin with what else is making news. And in the news, a big headline in the NASA Guardian relating to our interview yesterday with Deputy Prime Minister and Tourism Minister Chester Cooper about significant interest in the Grand Lucayan. And as Cooper told us, at least 3 parties are interested. They are interested in purchasing the resort, and but he's not going to make any announcements until, as he said, the money is in the bank. And we know we've been hearing that for a while, but he says he doesn't want to give people any false hopes, as we've heard many of these things before. We've heard it before, so. Well, we'll see. So we had just a short period of time with him, and then we had a lot more to talk about on the show yesterday. So if you want to give your comments on that, we didn't get a chance to take calls in that segment. But if you want to tell us what you think about that, we asked about Grand Bahama and a whole lot more. Give us a call, 323-6232, 325-4316. 325-4259. Call us toll free, 242-300-5720. Tweet us, Facebook us, text us, 422-4796. Chester Robards joining us now. Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
Great to have you with us.
Not questions for me, questions for Chester Cooper. I'm just making sure that we know which Chesters we're talking about this morning. Mm-hmm. Nobody tries to ask me
people
questions.
Are going to be confused?
Maybe.
No, right, okay.
Maybe.
All right. Yes, Robards is here, but we were talking with Cooper yesterday, that's right. So we also had some interesting numbers, and you wrote a story about that as well, on the numbers for July, and just how we are roaring back,
yes,
he's saying.
Roaring back.
So encouraging there. Yeah.
A lot of airlift, I tell you that. Mm-hmm. I've never... I mean, you hear every so often airlines increasing airlift to the Bahamas,
right,
but not at this level.
Wow.
It's been crazy.
Yeah. Do you have places to put the people?
Well, the Hilton is supposed to...
British.
Here I go, British Colonial.
Right.
I tell people not to make that mistake. And
there you go.
Yeah. The British Colonial is supposed to open back up by December-ish. So that'll add some rooms. Mm-hmm. Airbnbs are doing pretty good, according to Central Bank.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Now's the time to Airbnb. But think hard about where you Airbnb, and if it's...
Does it make a difference?
An appropriate place.
No, that's what you say.
So some people seem to not think it makes a difference.
Right.
Once they clean up and...
Including some of the visitors, right? I mean, are they shocked when they find out where this is?
They probably are shocked. I mean, what do they know? Do you have pictures of the surrounding areas of the Airbnb?
Well, it's certainly getting an authentic, and a unique experience.
Oh, one of the places I saw in there. Oh,
unique. Was it unique?
I wouldn't. No, it wasn't unique.
No,
it sure was.
But what were the reviews like, though?
I don't remember if I read the review.
You need to go back and look at the reviews. Maybe they get spectacular reviews.
I mean, some of them are literally like hostels. And maybe they sell themselves as hostels. But in the area they're in, hostile. That's all I got to say.
Wow. Okay.
Go look at Airbnb for yourself and check the map of New Providence. And you'll see some surprising areas.
We've heard some interesting stories, but hey. Got some of your text messages coming in, and you can text us as well. Again, 422-4796. This texter says, I believe Chester Cooper when I see the money. Grand Bahama is a failed project that needs to be sold in a fire sale to China. Wow.
Well, that's fine. Chester Cooper said he'll believe it when he sees the money, too. So
he did.
Y'all on the same page.
Mm-hmm. Except for the second part of the text.
Well,
to sell it to China. I mean, what about the people? Them too? Yeah? Okay. All right. I hear you. Dwight having Chester on yesterday was a waste of time. I don't know why y'all even have MPs. You won't take calls, and it's like you're afraid to ask them the real questions. Okay, well, a lot of questions were asked, and he answered them. So it's not that we're afraid. We don't have time. And many of you call with foolishness, your own private stupidness. So that's part of the problem. If we could filter out the calls, and so you don't call about your private business that happened in 1982, it would be great. But that never happens. Never, ever, ever, ever happens. So too bad. But you can take your text messages, and there weren't too many of those yesterday either. But that's fine. Is it me or you all never seem to take calls once these guys get elected?
Is that a different text?
It's a different one. Mm-hmm. And miraculously, they're always short on time. Yeah, they're always leaving. They're in cabinet and have to go.
Once they get elected? Did he get elected yesterday?
No.
Oh.
But we had him for a short period of time, and he had to go.
Yeah.
And he actually stayed a little longer than right?
Mm-hmm.
And again, we've told you what happens when we do. But we had a lot. We had a lot to get to. I didn't get to many of the things I wanted to talk to him about, but hopefully he'll be back soon. But some of you did text in. We did get a couple of those in. And, yeah. So you could text next time you hear somebody.
Mm-hmm.
How about that?
Text your question in.
Mm-hmm.
That way they're forced to keep it consolidated. The grammar might not be good, but...
Wouldn't even talk about the spelling, but that's fine. It's spelled correct. Some spell check does things. Yeah.
People type quick, man.
Yeah, that's it.
No time for that.
All right, so another big headline, dengue cases continue to rise. We had Dr. Nikia Forbes on last week, who gave some interesting information about that. And the main thing that people need to keep in mind is to prevent the mosquitoes from being around.
Right.
And we can all play a role in that, and you know what you need to do. But is that happening when it rains? Or are there
standing water
containers around that can collect water? And then she said, something even like a leaf can collect enough water for a mosquito.
Really?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So those bromeliads that people love so much.
Why
not? Those water can collect in those, and that can be a hotel. Yeah.
Oh,
wonderful.
I need to go kick my mother-in-law's plants. Or take a straw. Not kick. Sorry, Mom. Well, shake them a little bit to get the water out.
Well, that's not. Well, that'll do it for that day.
For that day, yeah.
Yeah. So
at least if anything's in it, it'll dry out.
I removed many from our yard. They're very nice, but problematic. So keep that in mind. Yeah. And, of course, we're keeping an eye on Tropical Storm Lee, which seems to be in a very big hurry to become something big and horrible. Yesterday morning, it was just a wave, and then later in the day, it became a depression. Then it became Tropical Storm Lee, and they expect to be a hurricane today, and maybe a Category 4 by tomorrow or the day after. But the forecast track has it coming...
Muy close.
Yes, parallel to the Bahamas, it seems, and then hopefully the jet stream and some high pressure systems out there will steer it back out into the Atlantic.
Yes,
might be a problem for the northeastern.
In Jesus' name.
But it could be a problem for the northeastern seaboard next week. But as long as
because I saw you pointing, you're like hopefully. No, we want it to turn all the way.
All the way. Yeah, all the way back into the Atlantic and then just go away. Yeah. Right? Right, Lee?
Hopefully it misses us and catch the eastern seaboard.
No, I didn't say that.
Yeah, I know.
No,
just making sure that that's not.
No. We don't want to hit anybody. Just go back out into the water. Yeah. All right. Another text here. Ever since Chester Cooper and Ginger Moxie toured the Port Lucaya marketplace with their sweet talk, things have gotten 100% worse.
They toured it. So that was a text about causality? Mm-hmm. Right. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So that's happening. This is disturbing. You see this? I honestly, this story, boy, the level of discourse, it's never really been that high, but you think things are getting better, and then this happens. So we talked about this, right? F&M chairman, Dr. Dwayne Sand, said that the cabinet shuffle
is like
putting lipstick on a pig. Right, and now...
which is a very popular kind
it's
of
well
phrase.
known. People
yes.
say that a lot.
Yes.
Yes, right. But now things have taken up. We're looking for a Chester Robards type pun here.
Oh.
Yeah. Muddy? No, that's not good enough. Swine-like?
That's close. No, but
muddy
not
turn.
Nah, not yet. We'll figure it out.
Oh boy! All right, so
It's supposed to come naturally.
Yeah, right. While this is while chiding F&M Chairman Dr. Dwayne Sands for using uncivil language towards the F&M towards the Davis administration, the PLP Davis administration, PLP Chairman Fred Mitchell, Minister of Foreign Affairs, suggested that Sands looks like a pig.
Sorry.
What? The statement from Mitchell came in response to Sands' word choice in describing the recent cabinet shuffle announced by the Prime Minister. Sands said it amounted to putting lipstick on a pig, an idiom that describes making superficial changes to something to appear, to make it appear more appealing than it actually is. Right. Yeah. Now, the F&M chairman said in a recorded message on Monday, quote, "We have a cost of living crisis, a crime crisis, a health crisis, and this little shuffle around reminds us that even after putting lipstick on a pig, it is still a pig." Now, striking back, Mitchell said in a statement, again, Foreign Affairs Minister, quote, "Since Dwayne Sands knows what a pig looks like, he should find great comfort when he wakes up and looks in the mirror." What?
Unnecessary.
What is that?
Unnecessary. Uncalled for.
It's just ridiculous. The PLP chairman added, quote, "It is sad and reprehensible that an idle political party like the F&M, with a record of abject failure over 4.5 years of governance, cannot be civil in its language in public dialogue." What's going on here? Is it two different people? Are there two different Fred Mitchells, and they're both writing the same? What's happening? This is Fred Mitchell again. Quote, "The comments are empty and devoid of sensible commentary. Clearly, the F&M does not wish the country well, but is seeking to invite failure. What a shame."
Now let me turn on my spigot.
Since he wants to talk foolishness, here we go. All right.
Let me take him all the way into the hog
my
pen.
goodness gracious. Okay. Boy. Oh, boy. Okay. Let's get your views on all of it, folks. And then maybe we should just, the chairman, that's how they are. Maybe we should just, ignore them and let the other folks focus on those? What do you think?
You've had some chairmen of, I want to say both parties, but I think the PLP chairman have had the most colorful language of all.
Yes, they're very
Big Bad Brad is
interesting with the words.
Yeah, he was one of the greatest to ever do it. But
Yeah.
I think Mitchell trying to catch up.
Fred Mitchell's on a roll. Absolutely. But it's just hilarious to say those things and then come back with, right, we need to be more civil. It's
Exactly.
Very odd.
Yeah.
But, let's see what you say. 323-6232. 325-4316. 325-4259. Toll free 242-300-5720. Tweet us, Facebook us, text us 422-4796. Good morning, caller. You're on the air.
Very pleasant good morning, Dwight, and pleasant morning, Chester.
Good morning.
Thank you for taking my call. I was very interested in listening to the Deputy Prime Minister yesterday, and that one of the comments I got from him, he said that in opposition, you can say this. He didn't say directly in such a way, but I got what he said was that in opposition, you can say anything, but when it comes to governance, it's a different story. I found it very interesting, particularly when it came to the situation with Al-Uqayya and Grand Bahama, when the former administration, I think it might have been a year or could be possibly 2 years, when they chided the former administration for not being able to sell Al-Uqayya or giving it away at fire sale. And 2 years into this administration, I saw nothing has happened. I found that interesting. And I remember him saying almost a year ago that there were three viable persons who were interested in buying.
Mm-hmm.
And to date, nothing has materialized. Also, I found it interesting that he said that, as a matter of fact, can you tell me any time in our history from proclaimment time when tourism was not on the increase. I recall 2 occasions. Are you able to remember any? Other than I think 9/11 and the pandemic. They were the only 2 years I recall that tourism was not constantly increased. So it suggests to me that has nothing to do with the minister, but basically by our location. Do you recall any other time when tourism was not climbing?
I think during recession
war
years,
times and
recession
stuff,
times, yeah.
When was that? When was recession?
So 2008, 9?
2009?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Well, that's another time. But that's very interesting. And another thing I want to address, I think it was last week Friday. I think it was the gentleman who comes on with you on Friday asked about when the Governor General is being sworn in or about to be replaced, who is in charge of the country? I don't know. Did you get an answer for that?
Yeah, it's the country still functions. So
I think
if we want to believe that the Governor General is really in charge of the country, is that what you believe that or?
No. I think the Chief Justice. Once the Governor General is at interim there, the Chief Justice takes over. Any decision that the Governor General should function and that doesn't happen, the Chief Justice performs those functions. And the next thing he said was that I think he said Mother Pratt was the first acting Prime Minister. But that's also incorrect. Janet Bostwick was the first acting female Prime Minister.
No. He said to become woman, to become the Governor General. That's what
no, he did not say that. He said that's not what he said.
Well, that's what he wanted to say.
Oh, okay. That's a difference then. I understand him to be saying that.
Mm-hmm.
He said, and you could check your tape, that Mother Pratt was the first. The reason why I bring it up is because a lot of folks listen to your radio station and they take away the information that you give as factual, and it's important that they be corrected for historical purpose.
I agree, and that's why we try to steer him away from say some things that he means to say, for color. But he meant, and I heard him say that. But you heard something else. But I appreciate it.
And the last point I want to make is that the Deputy Prime Minister also made a reference to the port, the value of the port in Nassau. I found it very interesting, considering what other comments were. I long for a day when these politicians, we can have honesty in politicians, and they would not be playing with words upon the masses so as to mislead or gain political mileage, rather than politicians who would rather have an interest in building this country. I am tired of these politicians come and going and just we talk, and the Bahamians are just clapping their hands and running after it. I think better we start analyzing these folks and stop supporting them when they do foolishness and say nonsense to our people. Thank you so much for taking my call.
Absolutely. Agree with you on that. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Let's see. Are you there, caller? No. Okay. Some text messages before we have to take a break. This one says, would you all keep playing Fred Mitchell's voice notes?
On our phones?
Yeah, no, they mean the news and some of the shows. Mm-hmm. Okay. Again, he holds 3 major roles, right? He's an MP, he's a cabinet minister, and he's the chairman of the PLP. So, how can we avoid getting infected by the mosquitoes if someone in a helicopter is? Oh my goodness gracious! Now, oh boy, you all. This is why we.
You even got to helicopters
because I was thinking it was going to be someone asking for sensible information, but this is insanity.
Yeah. Okay.
This is sometimes why we don't take calls. Oh man. Okay. This little tit for tat and butter for fat between the government and the opposition is like little boys and girls on a personal verbal battles. It needs to stop. Our country has serious issues that need to be addressed and fixed. Wow. Caller, good morning. You are on the air.
Hello, Dwight.
Hi, good morning.
Good morning, Bahamas. Pop here. Good morning, Chester.
Good morning.
Nobody still ain't finding what the chopper was doing and if they care anyone last week.
Oh. Is that what that was about?
Yeah, that's what that was about. Haven't heard anything.
I mean the text message.
Yeah.
No, I don't know what the text message
was. Okay.
Of course, me remember that, and I remember around this time last week, I think I asked all 2 of y'all, it might have been Wednesday or Tuesday, Chester might have been in more than once. But with Fred Mitchell, I think we need to ignore him sometime. I can't tell the media news people what to play on their news thing, but Like how you say, if you ask the question if we should ignore the row between them two, yes, especially Fred Mitchell, when he do these obvious dumb things, like we know he's supposed to be so smart, right? And that's why we can get as much education in them. No, he talking foolishness when he talking about calling names and different things, because he do not set the example. Dwight, did you get a chance? Not asking you what you might have talked in private with the deputy prime minister, right? But you know, like our time was running out. Did you ask him off the air, like why they spelling the key with K-Y rather than the way we spell it in the Bahamas since he's the minister of tourism?
We asked him on the air. That was on the air.
Oh, I didn't hear it. I didn't hear it at all, so I wonder if you got a chance. Did you get a chance to find out with the reporter from The Guardian said they interviewed him to ask him what Keith Bell says to Minister of Immigration, and it came across like he's saying that Keith Bell's lie. Like he didn't say nothing like that. Or what about when he tell the reporter, we in charge now, and we can do as we see fit. You didn't get a chance.
Well, I mean, with that one, I mean, that's self-explanatory. I don't think there's anything more to say. That was the other one. I no, we didn't get a chance to talk about that. That is a very important thing, and hopefully we'll hear more, but I don't know. I think some people are thinking since that minister is now somewhere else, it doesn't matter anymore. But it is. It's a very serious thing.
Yeah, reporters does a great job. See, they try to buy out the media. So when you all get these information from them, I know people say you're sticking mic and they move, but when they say dumb things like we in charge and we can do as we see fit, I mean, and you know, we got to really find out like where they head is and who they really serving. Because it ain't seem like they're all about serving the Bahamian people. Keep up the good work.
All right, thanks a lot. Well, I guarantee you, some people are very happy to hear them talk like that. Others aren't, so it depends on the perspective of the person. But, yes, interesting things. All right, let's take a break. This is Morning Blend on Guardian Radio 96.9.
This is Guardian Radio, 96.9 FM, Nassau, Bahamas.
This is AP News. I'm Rita Foley. Look who showed up in Ukraine this morning.
Secretary of State Antony Blinken arrived in Kyiv, Ukraine on Wednesday for an unannounced visit. U.S. officials say he's there to show support for Ukraine and assess its counteroffensive against Russian forces.
The AP's Donna Warder reporting. The Kremlin says U.S. assistance to Ukraine cannot influence the course of what it calls the special military operation in Ukraine. It's official. The UN Weather Agency says we've just been through the hottest summer ever measured in the Northern Hemisphere. The UN Secretary General says climate breakdown has begun. You'll feel that brutal heat in the eastern U.S. through Thursday, says the Weather Service, and all week if you're in Texas or parts of the South. Temperature may hit 103 in Austin, Texas today, 99 in Baltimore, and 98 in Shreveport, Louisiana. It's the toughest punishment yet in the January 6th U.S. Capitol attack. Enrique Tarrio sentenced to 22 years in prison. The AP's Ben Thomas.
Before receiving his sentence, the former Proud Boys leader maintained he was not proud of the storming of the U.S. Capitol, calling what transpired January 6th a national embarrassment. Tarrio pleaded for leniency, apologizing to the police officers who defended the Capitol and the lawmakers who fled in fear, and maintaining he is not a political zealot. But U.S. District Judge Timothy Kelly said Tarrio was motivated by revolutionary zeal. He also noted Tarrio had not previously shown any public remorse for his crimes. Ben Thomas, Washington.
Most major automakers admit they may be selling your personal information, a new study finds, with half also saying they would share it with law enforcement without a court order. The study from the nonprofit Mozilla Foundation. This is AP News. Now to what Britain is doing about the Wagner Group. The AP's Charles de Ledesma.
Britain says it will declare Russia's Wagner mercenary group a banned terrorist organization. Officials say the group remains a threat to global security even after the death of leader Yevgeny Prigozhin, adding an order will be introduced in Parliament on Wednesday to proscribe the group under the Terrorism Act. The designation, once approved by lawmakers, will bar membership in or support for Wagner, whose fighters were involved in Russia's invasion of Ukraine. The ban also will allow the authorities to seize the organization's assets. Charles de Ledesma, London.
At least 2 people have been killed in China and thousands forced to evacuate by floods brought by Tropical Storm Haiku in China's southeastern coastal Fujian province. Schools were closed and flights suspended. I'm Rita Foley, AP News.
7:39, time for your first look at traffic for the morning, brought to you by RBC. Start your home journey with an RBC mortgage today. In your real-time traffic, we are seeing heavy traffic on Milo Butler Highway, well south of the Fire Trail roundabout, all the way up to Tawny Williams-Darling Highway in the northbound lanes there, and traffic is backed up along Fire Trail as well, eastbound to that roundabout. Over on Glasson Road, also busy, especially northbound, just north of Fire Trail, all the way up to JFK Drive. JFK Drive, seeing heavy traffic both directions between Glasson Road and Tawny Williams-Darling Highway. And traffic backed up a bit along Lake Cunningham on JFK Drive as well. Building traffic on Carmichael westbound to Coral Harbor Road, and Blue Hill Road is busy, especially near Zion Boulevard and Cowpen, that intersection there, and near St. Vincent Road, Carmichael, and not looking too bad though as you get north of Soldier Road on the way to the roundabout with Independence Drive. But Independence Drive is backed up along the westbound lanes heading toward Blue Hill Road. Then we've got Prince Charles Drive. Issues near Elizabeth Estates, heavy traffic there. The Fox Road intersection. Fox Hill is busy for you coming out of Yamacraw Hill Road. And then on the way to Beatrice Avenue, heavy traffic westbound. But especially as you get to Soldier Road and where Prince Charles becomes Robinson Road, that is bumper to bumper westbound between Soldier and Old Trail on the way to Marathon and East West Highway. Marathon busy for you as well, northbound. And Blue Hill Road, well, Bernard Road rather, near the schools in the area. Eastern Road, already heavy traffic. And much further east than we normally see, well past San Souci. This is quite something out there. On the way to Johnson Road, if you can get off Eastern Road and get back to Prince Charles, you might do better this morning. That's what we're looking at right now. That's your real-time traffic. And your morning event traffic alert brought to you by RBC. Visit rbc.com/take 60 seconds to connect with RBC today. And time for another check of your weather for this morning, brought to you by Easy Car Sales. We've got weak surface troughing near the southeast Bahamas. That's going to continue to support some showers and thunderstorms across the central and southeastern islands, as weak high pressure across the area will maintain light to gentle winds across the archipelago. Swells will continue to subside while impacting the islands as well. Boating and beaching conditions will gradually improve as the swells subside, but boaters and swimmers should continue to exercise caution due to light to moderate north to northeasterly swells and the risk of rip currents along Atlantic exposures. And we might not make it to the triple digits for the heat indices, but it's still going to feel very warm. You're asked to hydrate and limit outdoor exposure. For all areas today, forecast calls for partly sunny and warm conditions with a few scattered showers and isolated thunderstorms, mainly across the southeast and central Bahamas. Mainly fair and mild conditions tonight with isolated showers possible in the southeastern islands. Smallcraft caution in effect for Atlantic exposures. Temperatures today getting up to 92 Fahrenheit, 33 Celsius, but the heat index will make you feel like it's 98 Fahrenheit, 37 Celsius. But again, thankfully not in the triple digits. Overnight lows tonight getting down to 77 Fahrenheit, 25 Celsius. In your extended outlook, weak troughing near the southern Bahamas will continue to trigger a few showers and thunderstorms, while drifting westwards, and then a weak pressure pattern will maintain light to gentle winds over the next few days. Boating and beaching conditions will improve as swells wane. So for Thursday, tomorrow, partly sunny and warm with isolated showers and thunderstorms, mainly across the southern islands. Fair and mild conditions at night. Friday, partly sunny and warm with a chance of a few isolated showers and thunderstorms. Again, we're keeping an eye on Tropical Storm Lee, expected to intensify and become a hurricane. And even a major hurricane by the weekend, expected to get near the Bahamas, but hopefully will turn away from the islands as a result of the jet stream and some high-pressure systems steering it away. But we must continue to watch it, and we will keep you posted. We'll have more details on Lee coming up in our weather check after the 8 o'clock news. This weather check, though, brought to you by Easy Car Sales. Are you shopping for a new car? Well, before you decide, compare. Easy Car Sales invites you to try an electric vehicle, experience the power, the smooth, quiet ride, find out how you can dump the gas pump and save thousands of dollars a year in fuel and maintenance costs. Take a test drive and enter for your chance to win a tablet every week during the month of August. Drop into Easy Car Sales on Gladstone Road or visit easy242.com to find out more.
Whether you're looking for your first or new home or even using your existing home as equity, RBC understands that your journey to home ownership is unique and your mortgage financing should reflect that. That is why at RBC we have dedicated mortgage specialists that provide sound advice and helpful solutions to make your dream home a reality. Best of all, the RBC mortgage team is mobile, flexible, and will meet you almost anywhere. Visit rbc.com/take 60 seconds to connect with an RBC mortgage specialist.
Calling all junior and senior high school students, you could win a brand new iPad for the new school year. Enter the Plato Alpha Design Essay Competition. All you have to do is write a strong and convincing essay on the topic, what does going digital mean to you? For junior high students, your word limit is 1,000 words. For senior high students, your word limit is 1,500 words. To enter, email your essay along with your name, school, and grade level, as well as your parents' contact information to alpha@platoalpha.com by Friday, September 22nd. The winners will be announced on Guardian Radio on September 29th. The winner for each category walks away with a brand new iPad. It's the Plato Alpha Design Essay Competition, powered by Guardian Radio 96.9 FM.
Wherever you are in the world, Cleveland Clinic's world-class care is here for you. From Ohio to Florida to London, Cleveland Clinic treats thousands of patients every year. Ranked number 2 in the world by Newsweek, you can trust our caregivers to enhance your experience across each step of your treatment journey. For every care in the world, learn more at clevelandclinic.org/Caribbean.
What if your business had one device that streamlined the management of your workforce? What if that device had fingerprint biometrics and Face ID to ensure secure and reliable identification? What if your employees can use HID card tapping for quick and easy clock-ins? How about PIN entry to easily manage your diverse workforce? TriBlock HR's new clock-in device does it all, making your human resources needs simple and effective. So there's no more need for the what-ifs of HR.
Contact us today at 812-2194 or tryblockhr.com/timeclock.
Schedule your free demo.
There's a new electric vehicle in town. The Jack brand of SUVs, trucks, sedans, and commercial vans. Available only at Easy Car Sales, home of the fully electric vehicle. For a powerful, smooth ride at a fraction of the cost to drive, leave the pump behind and hit the road with Jack. Visit easy242.com to see our brand new Jack models and drop into Easy Car Sales for a test drive. It'll have you singing. Hit the road with Jack, and don't you pump gas no more.
Hey guys, I got a joke for you. What did one ocean say to the other?
I don't know.
Nothing. It just waved.
I don't get it.
An ocean? It waves to another ocean.
Oceans can't wave. They don't have hands.
What?
How would they even see each other? They don't have eyes either.
Seriously, how are you not getting this?
Oceans aren't even alive. Nothing you said makes sense.
With most claims paid within a few days, we're like a friend that doesn't miss the joke. CG Atlantic Agents and Brokers. Good like that.
Summer your way with Scotiabank. Apply for a Scotia Plan loan this summer and open the doors to your dream destination, the perfect home renovation, or prep for back to school, and so much more. Enjoy competitive rates, flexible loan terms, and no payments for up to 2 months. Use your plan loan to unlock your perfect summer break. Apply for your Scotia Plan loan today and have summer your way with Scotiabank. Visit bs.scotiabank.com or call 242-356-1697 for further details.
Get ready, Bahamas. The Nations League is upon us. This Saturday, September 9th at 6 p.m., our men's national team, the Junkanoo Boys, go head-to-head with Puerto Rico at the Thomas A. Robinson Stadium. Dive into the electric matchday vibes. Secure your spot now. VIP tickets at $35 with drinks, finger foods, premium seating, and exclusive benefits. Adults for $20 and children under 13 at just $10. Purchase tickets online at bahamasfa.net or in person at the NSA box office. Rally behind the Junkanoo Boys and don't miss out on this soccer spectacle.
This is Guardian Radio 96.9 FM. Fresh news, smart talk, all day.
I've just closed my eyes again. Climbed aboard the Dreamweaver train. Trying to take away my worries of today and leave tomorrow behind. Ooh, Dreamweaver, I believe you can get me through the night.
We are back here with Morning Blend on Guardian Radio 96.9. Dwight Strachan along with Chester Robards. We're losing a lot of them every day. There's an artist passing away. This is Gary Wright, who we're told passed away. The big hit with that one just now.
I imagine as time goes on, we'll lose some more.
It's very, very insightful, Chester. You're a brilliant man. Thank you for that. Hey, we're going to move on now. As promised, we are very pleased to have with us in studio. We started a conversation, was that last month? Time is flying.
Yeah.
But she promised to come back, give us a little more time. And Director of Education, still acting, I guess. Director of Education, Dominique McCartney Russell is with us. Welcome. Great to have you with us in studio.
Thank you. Good to be here.
Let's get you a little bit closer to that mic there. There we go. Welcome. Great to have you. All right, so, of course, everybody's talking about the national exams, the results from the BJC and the BGCSEs. The politicians are having their say about what was worse or not, but we won't get into that. But let's talk about it. Is it fair to say disappointing or as expected, especially coming off the pandemic? What's your assessment of how students did?
Well, for us, it's not disappointing in the sense that we saw improvements in the BJC results of 5% in the A to D, 4% in the A to C. And so that was quite encouraging based on the measures we would have put in place. We expected that we would have some fallouts simply because when you consider what transpired during the pandemic, as well as Hurricane Dorian, we knew that we would have some issues. In fact, our teachers already said to us what they saw when they had the students in the classroom. They saw some learning gaps. They saw the knowledge and skills gaps. And so that's one of the reasons why we put the standardized test, the diagnostic test in place, just to be able to ascertain from a countrywide perspective what the issues were, what the gaps were. And so we expected that we would have some fallouts.
Yeah. All right. So you said BJCs, some improvement, but let's talk about the BGCSEs and what do you think is happening here? You mentioned, of course, all those other factors, but even before those, we had some challenges before the pandemic. Let's get into it.
Some of when you consider our children in high school, we noticed when we came back from the pandemic, but before the pandemic, that there were some challenges with chronic absences. But when you consider our curriculum, we offer a curriculum that caters to a diverse group of students, not just the students we would consider academic, but students who are kinesthetic, they're tactile learners. However, some of our children struggle with the curriculum. They find it difficult, and especially because if they've not gained the foundational skills at the primary school level, pre-primary, primary, junior high, and that translates straight into high school, you're going to have issues. And one of the issues is when students are allowed to move without remediation, they continue to fall behind. And because of that, that falling behind mitigated or necessitated for us the need to test them, the need to provide pull-out opportunities for them, and also the need to provide access to subjects that, they could actually access. Yeah.
So you're talking about social promotion?
In some instances, we did have social promotion. Yeah.
So why not just stop that? You need to do this grade over until you get this right. We can't keep you there for 4 years, but until you get this right, you shouldn't move into the next grade.
And that's what we used to do, There are two schools of thought in that regard. When you do not keep them behind, of course, you could increase the issues. When you do keep them behind, there are some other issues. There are some socialization issues that we would have experienced. I'll give you a good example. In a district that I was supervising, we had students who were 14 in grade 6.
Oh boy.
And so there were some other socialization issues that we experienced. And so what we did is we moved them out, but we provided, like I said, the pull-out programs so that they would have the support that they needed. We call those intervention programs. And we had intervention programs at grade 7, 8, and 9 to give them the support straight up to grade 10. And so that's what that's what we are advancing now.
Okay.
We cannot keep a 14-year-old in grade 6. Not just because of the socialization issues, but even the mental health issues. A child who is socially developed with these little children, and sometimes they're teased. So there's some other issues in regards to keeping students behind, and that's why our program, or what we're doing now, is providing the pull-out programs for them, the interventions, so that you deal with the gaps in learning.
What does that look like? Where do they go? In the same school, or they go
Same
somewhere
school,
else?
yes. What it happens, we have a classroom for it. The students will come out of the general classroom. Let's say they're in language arts. They may go into an intervention language arts class, an intervention mathematics class. And so those students who have the most issues in terms of the foundational skills, they're provided those opportunities. And we keep those classes small, 15 max.
Right.
And that teacher has an aide to support the initiative. And it allows us, they still, mind you, they still participate in other subjects, all of the other subjects, but math and language in particular, that's where we provide the interventions.
Okay.
All right, we're going to go to news in a bit, but are there from your perspective, misconceptions about these exams, what the BGCSE indicates, what it needs to be used for. What do you think about what the public's reaction to the results?
There are misconceptions. We are a people, we want our students to all do well. For us, doing well means A to C. When you say that there's a D average, and I don't subscribe to that simply because you are putting all of the children into one lump, and all of them are taking different courses, they're taking different exams, the numbers are different. So it's like sometimes comparing apples to oranges. It's a generalization, very hasty one, because you're not measuring the same things. When you're not using the same measurement or measuring for the same thing, you're going to get invalid results. And so for me, I would not say we have a D average. I would say that we have students who are successful at the skills that were advanced, and some who may not have been successful. However, it's from A to G. And so when you look at A to G, there are skills at each level, right? And so students who would have gotten a D, they have mastered some skills, maybe not the skills at the A level, but they still would have had some skills.
Yeah. And we've talked about this for years. Do we need to change that scale so that people can understand? Because D means something when you normally are in school, but it means something different on the BGCSE.
And that's a discussion. We are discussing that as we speak. We need to change the scale, but we also need to look at how we are testing our children, ensuring that we are not only meeting their needs, but we are catering to their interests as well. Because I keep saying it, we all learn differently. And so we should test for those types of learning. You have kinesthetic learners, tactile, etc. So you want to test for that.
Okay, I want to explore that when we get back from the news. We're talking with Dominique McCartney-Russell, the Acting Director of Education. And this is Morning Blend on Guardian Radio 96.9. Stay with us.
This is Guardian Radio 96.9 FM, Nassau, Bahamas.
Welcome back to Morning Blend here on Guardian Radio 96.9. We are streaming live on GuardianTalkRadio.com and on the Guardian Radio app for smart devices. We're also on your televisions on Cable Bahamas Channel 969 and BTC Flow Channel 612. You can tweet us at Morning Blend 969 or Facebook.com/Morning Blend 969. Text us on the Guardian Radio text line powered by BTC 422-4796. Standard text rates apply. And now at 8:22, time for another check of your weather for today. Brought to you by Bahamas First Insurance. Here is what's happening. We are keeping an eye on now Tropical Storm Lee, which could become a hurricane very soon. Lee is approaching hurricane strength already and expected to rapidly intensify into a dangerous, maybe even Category 4 hurricane by the weekend. As of 5 o'clock, Lee still out in the Atlantic, about 1,265 miles east southeast of the northern Leeward Islands. And Lee's moving toward the west-northwest near 14 miles per hour. And this motion is expected to continue for the next few days with a slight reduction in forward speed. Maximum sustained winds are near 65 miles per hour with higher gusts and continued steady to rapid strengthening. As forecast, Lee could become a major hurricane, will become a hurricane today and a major hurricane in a couple of days. And we're watching this. The models have it taking a turn away from the Bahamas right now, but we still must be paying close attention to it. It will be becoming a little too close for comfort, actually. But we will keep you posted on that. So this is what's happening for our weather today. We've got weak surface troughing near the southeast Bahamas. We'll continue to support showers and thunderstorms across the central and southeastern islands. As high pressure across the area will maintain light to gentle breezes, swells will continue to subside as well while impacting the islands, especially in the southern Bahamas. So for all areas today, partly sunny and warm with a few scattered showers and isolated thunderstorms. Mainly again across the southeast and central Bahamas. Mainly fair and mild conditions expected tonight with isolated showers possible for the southeastern islands. Temperatures today getting up to around 92 Fahrenheit, 33 Celsius with the heat index not in the triple digits, but still pretty warm. It's going to feel like it's 98 Fahrenheit, 37 Celsius. Overnight lows tonight getting down to 77 Fahrenheit, 25 Celsius. In your extended outlook, weak troughing near the southern Bahamas will continue to trigger a few showers and thunderstorms across the area while drifting westwards, and a weak pressure pattern will maintain light to gentle winds over the area for the next few days. Boating and beaching conditions will improve as well as swells subside. So for Thursday, tomorrow, partly sunny and warm with a few isolated showers and thunderstorms, mainly across the southern islands. Fair and mild conditions at night. Friday, partly sunny and warm with the chance of a few isolated showers and thunderstorms, mostly fair and mild at night. In the tropics, Lee, as we just told you about. Elsewhere, we've got two areas that are being monitored. A tropical wave over the far eastern Atlantic between the Cabo Verde Islands and the west coast of Africa. A tropical depression could form later this week or this weekend. Formation chance through the next 7 days, about 60%. Then there's a post-tropical cyclone, Franklin. You remember Franklin? A few hundred miles east-northeast of the Azores, could acquire some subtropical or tropical characteristics over the next few days. Formation chance is still low, though, about 10% chance. That's your morning blend weather check. Brought to you by Bahamas First Insurance. Visit firstonlineinsurance.com and select a Bahamas First agent to purchase, pay, or renew your car or home insurance 100% online, or just stop by any Bahamas First agent. Bahamas First, celebrating 40 years, is the first Bahamian general insurance company. What's first for you comes first for us. And time for another check of traffic for this morning, brought to you by RBC. Start your home journey with an RBC mortgage today. In your real-time traffic, things still looking pretty bad out there for you. We've got heavy traffic on Milo Butler Highway from Fire Trail straight up to Tony Williams-Darling Highway, and even north of that roundabout, heading toward the Six-Legged Roundabout. So northbound there, eastbound on JFK to the Six-Legged Roundabout, and a bit southbound on New Providence Highway as well. Gladstone Road also busy for you northbound, just north of Fire Trail on the way to JFK Drive. A bit of congestion on JFK. Eastbound, leaving Lake Cunningham, heading toward the roundabout with Prospect Ridge and Tawny Williams-Darling Highway. On Saunders Beach, we've got West Bay Street, heavy traffic as you approach the roundabout with New Providence Highway. And then we've got building traffic on Carmichael near Milo Butler Highway and Faith Avenue. And Faith Avenue, Cowpen are looking busy for you. Cowpen and Blue Hill Road. That intersection is also busy. Blue Hill Road from St. Vincent straight up to Independence Drive. Heavy traffic, especially near Carmichael. Eastern New Providence, you've got Prince Charles Drive. Heavy traffic, not moving much. Once you get through Beatrice Avenue westbound to Robinson Road and Soldier Road, just messy for you there. And Soldier Road is busy from that intersection straight up to Bernard Road, Village Road, and Wolf Road. Eastern Road, heavy traffic from San Souci to Johnson Road, and again, Shirley Street into Mackey Street. So we've got a number of issues out there. You're going to need a lot of patience this morning. Good luck to you. That's your real-time traffic and your Morning Blend traffic alert brought to you by RBC. Visit rbc.com/take 60 seconds to connect with RBC today. Back here with Morning Blend on Guardian Radio 96.9. Dwight Strachan along with Chester Robards. And I want to get back to what we were talking about before with Dominique McCartney-Russell, the acting director of education, about the national examinations. We're getting questions, people asking, what's the point of this? We can understand GLAT, grade level assessment exam there, but what is the purpose of the BGCSE really?
Well, our purpose is to determine the skills of our children, what they know and what they can do, so that they can gain meaningful employment, first and foremost. And those who are interested can advance or matriculate to tertiary education. And so there are some foundational skills that we believe at every grade level students should possess. And that's what we test for. Because, of course, we also listen to industry to see what they expect that their employees should have. We also ensure that our students are given opportunities to support their career interests. We expose them to different careers. And that's why we have to test to determine what they know and what they can do, and what their skill levels are. That will allow them to function and, of course, contribute to the national development.
Mm-hmm. We know that a lot of students are doing these exams in grade 11. Should more not do that in grade 11 and so you can get a better assessment and then make some tweaks in the 12th grade?
Well, the teachers recommend any student who takes the exam in grade 10 or 11, they're recommended by their teachers because they would have seen the skills that they possessed. We do have more students taking the exams in grade 11, and that's why those ones, by the time they get in grade 12, they do the advanced placement programs, the AP programs, pre-college programs. And that's one of the reasons why when we present the results, we say to the populace, don't use these results, don't generalize, because a lot of our children take their exams earlier. And so they are not a part of the numbers for this year. And so you have really more children who would have been able to access the exams. They would have gotten the A to C and the A to D passes, but they would have taken them earlier because they had the propensity to do so.
Right. Still a lot of people who took GCEs and God knows what else. Like me, right? Don't understand how BGCSEs work and are, unfortunately, it seems, controlling the narrative about this, not understanding that not everybody can take every level of the exam. Has the Ministry of Education, Department of Education, not done a good enough job explaining this to the public?
Perhaps we have not. And I think if we probably need to, because our exams are all encompassing. We have exams where students don't only take theory, but they have a practical aspect to it. It's hands-on. For example, if you're in clothing construction, you actually have to produce a garment. If you take typing, you actually have to type. You have some letters to do, different typing skills you have to show. If you take construction, you have to produce, you have to create something. And so we have exams that allow us to test the theory, but also it's performance-based or project-based or what we call problem-based learning and assessment. And it allows us to see what children really do know and what they can do. In fact, even in our in our formative testing, students get an opportunity, let's say in technical studies, they get an opportunity to create or to build a food truck. That's one of the projects that's happening this year. So the students in automotive technology will build the engine. Students in art will perhaps design the outside. Students in family and consumer science will...
Like the actual vehicle.
Yes, the actual vehicle.
Wow, okay.
And then they will produce the food. Students in business will market. And so we're going to... We're having a national competition that will allow all of our students their skills to come to bear. And that's what we're seeking to advance, more project-based learning.
Yeah.
Well, this we were talking a lot off air. I wish that was on air, actually, about preparing students for the future. You mentioned it off air, and we're hearing this from a lot of people, that there's going to be a lot of pressure on colleges when so many are looking for certificates as opposed to degrees. What are we doing to prepare our students for this future that is coming?
And that's it. We are seeking to future-proof our students by developing micro-credentials, allowing students as early as grade 9 to have those credentials. For example, in ICTs, we will have students coming out from our cluster program with 4 certificates, 4 micro-credentials in grade 7, or grade 8, and 1 in grade 9. So that they're able to, if they choose, they can actually give that to a proprietor and utilize that to gain entrance into their workplace. For example, the NCCER, it's a safety certification for all students who want to participate in any trade, right? And so once they have access to that, that is an industry recognized certification that some of our students already have. And if they wanted to, they could get part-time employment because we want them to stay in school. But that's what we're seeking to do. We want our children, every single student, to leave school with credentials. And Minister said it the other day, the new currency, skills are the new currency, right? And so it means that students have to be able to do. And a lot of people in industry are looking at what can my employee do when they come on this campus, when they come in this environment, and that's what we're advancing. Now, we know that we want them to have the foundational skills because you use math every day, whether that's in budgeting, whether that's to go grocery shopping, time and distance, etc. But we also want to ensure that they have the literacy skills, that they're able to communicate, they're able to articulate their thoughts, their emotions, etc., in a most positive way. And so the foundational skills are important. We want them to have that. But we also want them to have skills that are marketable beyond the math and the language, things that they can do when they get out of school.
So we know that there are a lot of students who are doing well in the public school system, but the perception is that if you want a quality education, you've got to spend some big bucks. What is the reality there? Are we seeing more students struggling? Is the violence that we hear about often, is that holding progress back? What is the true picture of what's going on?
And that's the problem too, the narrative. You always hear the negative narrative concerning public education. And so we have always said to our team members, you also have to accentuate the positive because the media always accentuates the negative. We don't talk about the H.O. Nash with the student that got 12 A's or the 60 A's that they got this year on BJC, 60 A's in language arts and the 40 A's in literature, or the 31 students that got 5 subjects or more in BJC, or the 8 students that got all A's. We don't talk about S.A. McPherson and their language production, or the Anatole, or the schools in Abaco, the 3 high schools that improved in BJCs, and they were devastated.
Wow.
So these are the kinds of narratives that the nation needs to know about. Our students who are excelling. Yes, we do have students who have communication issues in regards to conflict resolution, and we pick those up. The media picks those up, but we do not celebrate as a people when things are going well. If you look at social media, the bad news sells. But when we put out the good news, that does not become viral as much as the bad news, But
I mean, are you putting out the good news?
And we have advised our team members in all of our schools, all of those positives, where those students are excelling, send that information to us, and we definitely are going to ensure that the masses know that public education is good education. I am a product of the public education system, and I had excellent teachers, and I believe in the public education system. I've seen a lot of my children have done very well, and so we want to accentuate that.
But we hear we were talking about this off here as well, we hear a lot of employers say that these students coming can't fill out the job application form. They can't write a resume. They can't read. We're hearing so many horrible things sometimes. Something is not quite right. And not just in the public school system. We're hearing this in private schools as well. But we've got some challenges here in the country.
Yes. And you're right, we do have challenges. Like I said, we don't hear the good because you wouldn't lament about the good. You will always lament about, the negatives. And so when we hear those from our industry partners, we deal with it right away. And what we do is, for example, we have the job readiness program now in the Bahamas High School Diploma program that allows our children to learn about filling out applications, learn about producing your resume, having a portfolio of your artifacts that say what you know and what you can do. And so we do mitigate. We do track our children. Even after they leave school, if they do not obtain the Bahamas High School Diploma, we still track them because we want them to do well. We encourage them to participate in BTVI. We encourage them to enroll in the Smart Start program or a trade. And so we are seeking to not just meet the needs of those children who are excelling, but even the ones that are struggling. We are providing the opportunities for them so that they can become functionally literate and be able to gain access to employment.
You mentioned industry partners, and that I guess you have conversations with jobs and businesses across the country, and I'd like to know, what that looks like. But also, do you have enough support from the private sector in the school communities coming in to talk about what's available, talk about life in general? I know you got support from churches and that thing, but yeah.
Well, in terms of talking with industry partners, we have education officers in our curriculum division for every single subject.
Right.
And they engage our industry partners in their areas. Not just industry partners, parents, teachers, just a wide variety of the Bahamian populace. And those are focused meetings, focus groups, and they help us to reform our curriculum, really, and also to chart the way forward. And so that's how we do it. We do it in focus groups, focus meetings. In regards to the support, we get a whole lot of support from our industry partners. I'll give you a good example. Our Technical Cadet Corps program, which we are relaunching this year, and rebranding, we have support from, ZNS and BTC, Alive, Water and Sewage.
Yeah.
And so they support us with technical support as well as funding to allow our children access to all of their knowledge, and not just their technical knowledge, but also their hands-on knowledge. And it really does well for our students because they get to, like I said, they get to participate in the environment, to feel, to touch, to taste, experiential, authentic learning with real-world application.
Yeah, I graduated from the Technical Cadet Corps program.
Really?
And now you're doing, you see, yes.
I also got shock sitting in a hole at BEC.
Yeah. that explains a lot. All right, so this text here, this is very, boy. This person says, it seems like the director is desperately trying to explain why there is, and we said we don't like this term, de-average in the schools, when we know that most of the kids are failing because they're not interested in learning under the educational system, because most of these kids are not Bahamians. That is not what
person
the
all
statistics
Yeah.
say. But well, how do you address that? I mean, I've never heard that one before. Hearing the opposite, actually. But what do you say to that?
Yes, the statistics show that most of our children are Bahamians, and our children, most of them are doing well. We would not say most of them are not doing well. We know that students have skills, they have strengths, they have weaknesses. Where there are gaps, we mitigate those gaps, and the gaps are not all the same. And so we never measure our students generally, and to say that they are all failing or most of them are failing. That is not true. Most of them are not failing. Those ones who are at risk for failing, we know who they are, and we give them those extra supports. We have the refocus programs. We have these alternate programs for them, the pull-out ones, the standalone programs for them. And that number is definitely not most of our children. That's not true.
Yeah. I don't know if they're trying to turn this into an immigration issue. But let's talk about that. People say that this is causing a problem with overcrowding in schools. And what do you say to that? What's your view on this?
I don't have a view on immigration. I can say to you with the education access, once students are presented for registration, they are entitled to an education, and that's what we do. We ensure that parents register their children for school. That's with the access. And when they don't do that, then of course we apply moral suasion, because we know if a child does not get an education, that means it leaves a burden on society, on our social services. We have to take care of them. And so it's important for every single child in the Commonwealth of the Bahamas, wherever they are, whatever socioeconomic background, that they get an education so that they're able to support themselves and, again, contribute to our development. If we don't educate our children, then it's more burdensome for us as a country. Our limited resources, scarce resources, are going to be pushed and pulled, and we will not be able to handle that. And so education is the great equalizer. So the access, if a child is presented, they must get an education, and that's what we seek to do. Now, in terms of overcrowding, we do have some overcrowding in some schools because, some parents prefer schools over others, and so we steer them into other schools, other areas where the demographics are smaller, so that there is no overcrowding. Yeah.
We talked about this off air as well, but the world's increasingly getting digital. We've got AI, we've got so many things happening, but there's always criticism about the curriculum, especially from older people who think we're still teaching some things that might not be the case. But let's talk about that. How often is there an assessment of the curriculum and a reform of it here in the education system?
This is a constant for us. We have a curriculum cycle for all of our subjects, and we have education officers who ensure that this cycle continues. And so you will not find too many of our curriculum documents outdated. Our officers, like I said, they keep a close watch on the trends. They are aware of what's in the industry, what's current, and they keep abreast. Of course, the foundation has to be kept. Yeah. But we, for example, we have robotics in our schools. We have coding in our schools. We have also introduced AI in many forms in our schools as well, so that our children are not left behind. And I'll tell you, they are not being left behind. If anyone will be left behind, it'll be us. And so we are making sure that our teachers, we had training this our conclave in August for teachers and administrators on AI, because we want our older persons, the adults, to know what our children are already using.
Right.
They are using AI, and so we want to make sure that we are abreast as well.
Yeah. Well, boy. Some of these I can't read them. You've talked about this in the press, and I think you mentioned it a bit earlier. But boys and girls and the way that they learn. How are you addressing this? And do we need? I think I asked you this maybe the last time we talked on the show. But do we need to have schools for boys, school for girls? Is that where we are now?
We do have some experiments going on. The problem with that is the all-male class is still led by a female, because our education system is heavily done with female teachers. So we're still struggling in that regard. We have more female teachers than male teachers, and we have been imploring our men to join the profession of professions. Boys do learn differently, and that's one of the reasons why there's always curriculum reform. That's why we're focused now on experiential learning, because our young men, but you can't negate the fact that boys still need the language as well.
Yeah.
In fact, we had the highest amount of A's in one subject it was boys who did that. But we need to ensure that boys get the authentic, the hands-on experiences that they want.
Yeah.
You will find a lot of them in our technical subjects because they want to be a part of a program that allows them to touch, that allows them to go outside, that allows them to experience learning in the most authentic way. And so there is a reform in our technical subjects, science as well. And then, of course, math. We are engaging in a math study to determine why our students have math anxiety, and to find out, what are the factors that contribute to the low math scores.
But that's not new, though, right? I mean,
no, I do not.
Because that's been happening for decades.
No.
I think.
I do not. But then I was an accounting student. I don't have the anxiety. Yes.
Okay.
I was on the other side.
Okay.
Right. Same thing.
So, but imagine if parents transfer their beliefs and values. If a parent had, stress, math anxiety, that could transfer to a student.
Yeah,
if a teacher at the primary school level has math anxiety, that can also transfer. And so we are engaging in a study that would identify those factors so that we could remediate and cause our children to love math. And this is not a Bahamian issue. This is a global issue, where math, we're really seeking to improve our math scores.
All right, we need to take a break, but just before we go, a couple of text messages are coming in, the same theme. Many of these students are Haitian, some don't speak English, and that's holding back other English speakers. This one says, well, the Haitian students seem to do better than the Bahamian students, so we hear that often. I don't know if that is the case, but it keeps coming up. The texters are commenting on this. The big issue. What do you say about that? Are the non-English speakers holding back the English speakers, or are the Haitian students or other non-Bahamian nationals doing better?
Teachers in the classroom provide what we call differentiated instruction. What that means is how the child learns, the teacher will teach. So if you have these various learning modalities, visual learner, kinesthetic, auditory, math, language, etc., the teachers cater to those students. And so no child can cause another child to fall behind, because there is a plan for each child. Teachers do a mammoth task in preparing to teach all of these diverse learners. And they seek, I can remember when I was an accounting teacher, I jumped through hoops to ensure my students learn. I did the song and dance. I used arts integration. I did the step and everything. Rap, you name it, I did it to ensure every child had access. And I can say no child causes another child to fall behind. If a child presents, for example, a behavioral issue, right, and the teacher has applied strategies, that child is then sent to the office to get greater support, whether that's guidance and counseling, anger management sessions, etc. So that doesn't happen in the classroom, where a child causes another child to fall behind. So I'm not certain why that was said, but we cater to all of our children. That's what we do in our classroom. We don't separate them, and we don't determine who's who. We teach them all.
Is the myth that the Haitian parents are more involved and the students are better, is that accurate?
No, that's not accurate. Bahamian parents love their children, and that is evident in so many ways. They fight for their children. They go to bat for their children. We do have some parents who have what I call conflicting priorities. What I mean by that is they have to work, and sometimes the child has to get ready for themselves and then, of course, go to school. They may not have another adult in the home because the parent has to work, or the parent works late and they cannot help them with the homework. So conflicting priorities. But to say that a group of parents is more concerned than another group of parents, no, that's not the case.
Do you get the level of support and engagement from parents that you want to see?
No, we want a greater level of involvement. In fact, that's why we are engaging on a national campaign to involve our parents more. We have already met with the PTAs, I think, two or three times already, providing support for them, training so they know what to expect for the GLAD exam, for example, and how they can support us at home. We want to maintain that link at home. And so we're providing support for them. We do want more parents to participate in the PTA meetings. We do want more of them to engage in volunteerism. We've had, some schools had parents in the classroom. They served as homeroom parents. They come on the campus. They are mentors to the children. So that's what we're seeking to do, to improve that. Because the studies have shown, seminal studies, and we know it, when parents and the school work hand in hand, you see a greater level of success for the children. Yeah. So no, it's not where we want it to be, but we believe that if we continue to pursue them and show them how they can be involved in very simple ways, that they can support their children's education. They don't have to know math. They don't have to know some of the courses. Yeah. Even if they just sign the homework so we know that the child does the homework, that's involvement, All
right, we need to take a break with some great messages are coming in and along the lines of what Chester just asked you. So people are texting about how they know of many cases where students are making it to grade 4, 5, 6 and can't read. But are you finding that parents are surprised? Like they find, like, in grade 7 or 8, you learn that your child can't read and you didn't know this all along. What does that say about the parent? I know that people are quick to blame the school, but shouldn't you know this as a parent by then?
Definitely. When we give report cards at the end of the school term, that will show, the student's level of achievement. And so, our teachers would show the report card, say what it means, so parents are aware. And so you will have some parents who may not pick up the report card, and if they don't pick up the report card, they are not aware. If they don't attend the PTA meetings or the grade level PTA meetings, then they will not be aware of what's going on. We have teachers who have their parents in WhatsApp chats, so they know, the curriculum, what's happening, the calendar. They call them a lot of times using their personal phones, and especially those students who are at risk, they get the most attention in terms of parental calls, guidance support, interventions. And so if there is a parent who is surprised at the failure of their student, it would have meant that there was no involvement between the home and the school. Yeah.
You got to have these kids reading to you. Pick up and read this to me. Let me hear how you do.
They're supposed to read. In fact, when they read at home, at school, we expect that they would continue that in the home, because if students read 20 minutes a day, they are exposed to 1.8 million words, new words. And so they have to read, and they can't only read at school. Right. We have the sustained silent reading in the afternoons in primary school, where they get an opportunity to read beside their reading class. And so we want that to also happen in the home, that they get, the parents sit with them and they read. They are not going to be exposed to new words or be able to comprehend if they are not reading.
Yeah, and you've got to take an active role in this as a parent, right?
Yeah.
You also do have some kids who are the primary English speaker in their home.
That is true.
I'd like to know how you contend with that in terms of engaging parents. But.
And that has been a challenge. What we do is in the PTA, we identify someone who can interpret. And that person acts as our interpreter for that parent. And sometimes it's a teacher who has the skill as well, and they act as the interpreter for us. Yeah. But we do have some homes where the child is the one speaking the English, and because they speak English, they're leading in that home. Yeah.
Wow.
All right, let's take a break. We're hoping we can get you to stick around for a couple minutes, Mrs. Russell. I know. Yeah, maybe just a few more. All right, so we're going to take a break and go to the news and then pick this up. We're talking with Dominique McCartney Russell, the Acting Director of Education. This is Morning Blend. We're going to be back. Stay with us.
Whether you're looking for your first or new home or even using your existing home as equity, RBC understands that your journey to home ownership is unique and your mortgage financing should reflect that. That is why at RBC we have dedicated mortgage specialists that provide sound advice and helpful solutions to make your dream home a reality. Best of all, the RBC mortgage team is mobile, flexible, and will meet you almost anywhere. Visit rbc.com/take 60 seconds to connect with an RBC mortgage specialist.
At Wendy's, we are different. We don't just use beef. It's fresh, never frozen. Our burgers are square because we never cut corners. Served hot off the grill with fresh lettuce, tomatoes, onions, and American cheese. We believe in fast food done right. Always serving fresh, never frozen beef. Order a hot, juicy Dave single, double, or triple. Made with fresh, never frozen beef. Now only at Wendy's. Different inside and out.
It's been 35 years since Custom Computers was founded, and we'd like to celebrate that milestone by thanking you, our clients and customers. You've inspired 35 years of expert service and support, partnering with the world's leading brands like HP, Apple, and Microsoft. We take pride in setting the bar for what you expect and deserve from a homegrown Bahamian business. We're here to serve you when you need us, so call 396-1101. Custom Computers, raising the standard since 1987.
Doctors Hospital has reimagined primary care. We have invested to improve our health system, ensuring that accessible, affordable, world-class clinical care is closer to you. We understand that your relationship with a primary care provider shapes the foundation of your overall health. Our new modern primary care facilities are where critical diagnoses and true personalized treatment begins. With locations across New Providence, Grand Bahama, and Exuma, we invite you to experience the Doctors Hospital difference. Book your next appointment at clinics.doctorshosp.com.
What if your business had one device that streamlined the management of your workforce? What if that device had fingerprint biometrics and Face ID to ensure secure and reliable identification? What if your employees can use HID card tapping for quick and easy clock-ins? How about PIN entry to easily manage your diverse workforce? TriBlock HR's new clock-in device does it all, making your human resources needs simple and effective. So there's no more need for the what-ifs of HR.
Contact us today at 812-2194 or tryblockhr.com/timeclock. Schedule your free demo.
There's a new electric vehicle in town. The Jack brand of SUVs, trucks, sedans, and commercial vans, available only at Easy Car Sales, home of the fully electric vehicle. For a powerful, smooth ride at a fraction of the cost to drive, leave the pump behind and hit the road with Jack. Visit easy242.com to see our brand new Jack models and drop into Easy Car Sales for a test drive. It'll have you singing. Hit the road with Jack, and don't you pump gas no more.
Take some advice from your Aunt Angie. If you want to go scuba diving on your vacation, don't bedazzle your wetsuit. And you think you look great, but what you don't realize is that you look like a shiny, scaly fish. And it won't take long for a shark to notice you. Next thing you know, you're busting out every karate move you got. But if you're smart, you'll have CG medical insurance and get airlifted out to the closest hospital.
Get coverage for emergency evacuations. CG Atlantic Medical and Life Insurance. Good like that. All benefits are subject to policy provisions, including eligibility at the time of service.
It's back to school season again.
Send your kids off with everything they need, from books, uniforms to school supplies, all with a Fidelity personal loan. Apply today for a chance to win amazing back-to-school prizes. Call 356-7764.
Calling all junior and senior high school students, you could win a brand new iPad for the new school year. Enter the Plato Alpha Design Essay Competition. All you have to do is write a strong and convincing essay on the topic, what does going digital mean to you? For junior high students, your word limit is 1,000 words. For senior high students, your word limit is 1,500 words. To enter, email your essay along with your name, school, and grade level, as well as your parents' contact information to alpha@platoalpha.com by Friday, September 22nd. The winners will be announced on Guardian Radio on September 29th. The winner for each category walks away with a brand new iPad. It's the Plato Alpha Design Essay Competition, powered by Guardian Radio 96.9 FM.
This is Guardian Radio 96.9 FM, Nassau, Bahamas.
The views and opinions of the host and guests are their own and do not necessarily reflect the position of the management and staff of Guardian Network.
Wake up, it's a new day. Wake up, it's a new day.
Good morning and welcome to Morning Blend Business on this Wednesday, September 6th, 2023. Welcome back to our Morning Blend listeners. Once again, I'm Dwight Strachan along with Chester Robards, and we continue ever for just a few more minutes. The Acting Director of Education, Dominique McCartney-Russell, and we were talking about a lot of things this morning. Let's take some of these calls very quickly, and I have a few more questions before we let you go. Hopefully these callers are still there. I know they were holding for a while. Caller, good morning. You are on the air. Hi. Yes, okay, let's take this one. Good morning, caller. You're on the air. Good morning. Hi, good morning. You're on the air.
Hi, good morning. This is for Miss McCartney. She is an excellent teacher. I had her back in C.R. Walker, class of 04, and I can contest that she goes above and beyond, through the ropes, through the hoops, everything I can remember, even disciplining, being on my knees for not doing my homework, short skirt. She's an amazing teacher.
You're making her blush. You're making her blush.
But unfortunately, with the government system, I know I recently pulled my boys out of it because the behavioral issues. My sons had to go through too much just to get an education. The children have behavioral issues. The environment is not conducive. The teacher-to-student ratio is horrible. The teachers themselves seem very disgusted because they're overworked and underpaid, even as simple as accessing tissue for the bathroom. I had to put tissue in my son's bag just for them to use the restroom. So even though Ms. McCartney is trying her best, but it's a lot of issues in the government system that children have to go through just to get an education. And that's why, for me personally, I had to pull my sons out. It's a lot.
Okay, all right. Let's get her to respond to that. Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Thank you so much. I wish I got your name so I could remember which student that was. Nonetheless, thank you for your concern. One of the things that this administration sought to do is to, first and foremost, look at teacher morale. In fact, we have a teacher morale committee. And as a result of that, because we wanted to hear about what's going on with our team members, as a result of that, we have had some reforms already in regards to, for example, teachers got a $250 stipend to outfit their classrooms this year. There was also salary increases, and so they're looking at ways to support our teachers. In regards to the discipline issues at school, we're also focused on that area. We would have engaged a number of officers in our student development section so that we could provide more wholesome opportunities for children. So we heard, we are listening, and we are providing the support systems. Students who are not, for example, benefiting from the general population, and they may need an alternate school. We have a refocus program that has been rebranded and expanded to ensure that those children who perhaps have issues are able to get the support that they need. They can get the anger management sessions, they can get counseling, mentoring. They do have mentors. We have faith-based mentors as well as civic organizations who are helping us, like Rotary, Key Club, Junior Achievement. We have a lot of people supporting our children. Mm-hmm. And so you will find that we are seeking to mitigate those issues of disruption on campuses, as well as dealing with teacher morale.
Yeah. We had the president of BEMU on last week, and he was talking about the gangs and the challenges there. How big a problem is that?
Well, we do have, I'm advised, some incidences of that in schools, and that's one of the reasons why we have the SROs, the school resource officers. In fact, this year we would have added 30 more SROs, and they have been especially trained to be on the school campus and to engage our children. And that program, they're going so well because they not only head off any incidents, they also provide quality mentorship for students, and they provide quality support programs. They sit with students at risk, and they provide what students need, that time. Some of these students don't get the time with adults so they can get the proper training. And so the SRO program under Dr. Chaswell Hanna is working very well. Mm-hmm. And so my former student, you'll be surprised to see what is being done to support students, of course, to support our team members, our teachers. We've even had a restructuring. We have identified administrators for schools to ensure that we have the exact complement that's needed at schools to support the work. So we're working.
Yeah. More text messages about class sizes. You mentioned earlier that you don't have enough male teachers. What can you do to attract more people to education, especially men?
Well, we have what we call the Teacher Cadet Program. It's our Grow Your Own program, and we have teachers in all of our islands who are part of this program. They get a stipend, and they identify students for us, and those students are in our Teacher Cadet program, and they get an opportunity to see what teachers do in the classroom, participate. They get a stipend as well, and then, of course, if they're in the program, they get quicker access to the University of the Bahamas. Mm-hmm. And so we have our own Grow Your Own. Now, of course, it's 143, I think, students already in the program this year. And still, I think of that number, we may have 4 or 5 males.
Oh, boy.
How do we get males involved in education? I do not know.
You know what it is. It's money. You know it's money.
It's probably more than that now.
No.
It may be, but I know one thing: we can't give them more than we give the females.
You definitely can't
we can't discriminate.
No, right, so it's going to be very costly.
Yeah.
But I'm sure there's this pervasive idea that teachers are women. Just like there's this idea that nurses are women.
It wasn't always like that, though.
No, it wasn't. No. But I'm saying it's grown to that.
Right, because years ago, there were more males in the system, and we do encourage more males to come in the system. We want, our teachers are doing a fantastic job, but we want the men, because we believe that, boys respond to men differently. And so we always say to our men, do it for national development, as a national service, more than the money. I see.
Because you can't take that to the bank. You can't take that to the bank. But I agree with you.
I can't national service my way through life.
Right. But no, it's a serious problem.
And we are grateful, and we thank God for the men who are in the system and who are serving quite well, doing a fantastic job in their roles, and we appreciate them. And we will continue to advocate for more young men to participate in the program. But in regards to teacher shortage, we would have recruited 343 teachers aides, and 1 or 2 specialists in terms of speech pathologists, school psychologists. However, we do still have a shortage, and so that's why we would have engaged our retirees, as supply teachers. That's what we're doing. So where there are shortages, schools are already working out their timetables. They're working it to this week as they've done last week. And if there is a need, we seek to supply with a supply teacher.
And where are those teachers coming from? What?
They were teachers who worked with us already. They would have retired, and so, enjoying their retirement, and then we call them up and say, we need you. And they, sacrificially come out of their retirement and they support our needs.
Other countries as well, or?
No, just right now we only utilize those who have worked with us before.
Okay. One more call, and then we know we're running out of time. Good morning, caller, you're on the air.
Good morning, Dwight again. Good morning, Miss McCartney. Russell, how you doing, ma'am?
I'm well, thank you.
Okay, Miss Russell, I'm trying to figure out if I just missed it. I think this is the first time when it comes down to the special educators, when it comes down to special education for the specialty children, I wondered if you had a chance to say something about that. I think I hear them saying so much was recruited this time around. I don't know if it's still a shortage or if this can be able to help, or if it means that we have more students coming into the government sector with challenges, with special challenges. And then I know we could come together as a community and do our own free breakfast and stuff for the children who might need it. But I hear the government saying something about it, and I don't want to know if you all done started or when you think they can implement it. Then, Ms. Russell, when you talk about anger management, it makes me remember Madam President of the Union, Melinda Wilson. She had good things to say about you having the right attitude and the way how you deal with the union and how you seems to be as a former teacher. I guess once a teacher, always a teacher. You had the right attitude dealing with them and stuff like that. And I was saying even the managers union or the principal union had good things to say about you. So they normally have a challenge with the director. So that's good to know. Although you have a minister there with a policy and a plan, you still as a former teacher or as a teacher, you're able to work along with the union. Now maybe you could rub some of that off the deputy, the acting, because she also said that the John Moss lady, maybe she ain't going about it the right way, so you could maybe see if you could work on that so they could have a good relationship, and the minister and the government could have a good relationship with the union. Keep up the good work, ma'am.
All right, we're going to need you on staff here soon, Popper. You're really good. That's one of my questions as well. Belinda Wilson did talk about Ms. Moss and challenges there. Don't know if you can respond to that. Seems like a challenge with the styles, but what can you tell us about that?
Well, let me go back to his first question concerning special education. We would have engaged 22 new special education teachers, and they will support our mild and moderate intelligence deficiencies in our children. And we have also partnered with Barry University. We have 14 or 15 teachers in their program. They will gain a master's degree next year. So they will be added to the pool to ensure that children who have those issues are given support. We're really excited about that program. In fact, this year we have also engaged a principal who is visually impaired. And so we'll be talking a little bit more about that, because we want to be more inclusive in our role. We want our Bahamian population to know that all children should have access and equity to educational opportunities, and we're seeking to meet those needs. We had a little over 60-something children waiting to be assessed, and of course we had 36 waiting on the list to get into a school. We no longer have that problem because we have engaged these teachers to support those children. In regards to, I can't remember the second thing he said.
The food program, the breakfast.
Yes, we are engaging in a pilot program first. It's a pilot. We had 10 schools during the pandemic that had chronic absences. And so we want to utilize this breakfast program, because we are already providing lunch for children.
Right.
But now we want to provide breakfast so that those children who are chronically absent, who have those kinds of issues and needs, we are able to support them. And so you will see that coming on stream as well, to support education, really, feeding the body, feeding the brain, so that our children could gain their education. In regards to the unions, I see all stakeholders as being important, to having a seat at the table to ensure that we get a quality education for our children. We want to ensure that all of the rights of our team members are adhere to, that we are not infringing. And so we engage all 4 of the unions to ensure that we are meeting the needs. We have a manual system. And as a result of that, it takes long to get things done. Human resource matters, payments of allowances. It's just a lot of issues because of this manual system. And I've been advised that by next year, we will start the digitization of those processes so that we could get things done more efficiently for our team members. A lot of times the issues are, I can't get my pay slip, or I can't get a job letter, or I can't get a confirmation, or, and so we're trying to deal with those matters. And the unions help us. They help us to not only identify the issues, but to mitigate the issues. And so I want them at the table. I want to solve the issues so it takes away the barriers from education. We want to remove those barriers so that we have no issues with children gaining a quality education. Yeah. That's all.
All right, so next year, digital system. Hopefully, we'll keep our fingers crossed for it.
Yes.
Truancy, really quickly, it's still a big problem. How many truant officers do you have now?
The last count was, I think, 29, but I need to verify that. And they comb the various districts, particularly in New Providence and Grand Bahama. And they look for students because they connect with the guidance counselors and principals at schools to identify those children who may be chronically absent. That's the first thing. And then, of course, they go looking for them. They call the parents and they go into the community. And when there are issues, they also act as the conduit for helping our children. If there's a uniform issue, breakfast issue, lunch issue, or just delinquency, we mitigate those. They're connected with our student development section, who provide support for students as well.
You got to get to your meeting. You hear us do the traffic, though. It's bad in the morning. People are saying, why don't we have a school busing system? Does that come before you? Is that a different ministry? Do you need a couple of the ministries to come together to do this? When can we get some relief here? Because in the summer, we don't have this type of madness on the streets.
We do have a school bus system, but only when it's, I can't remember how many miles away. If students are a certain distance away, we do provide a busing system for students in New Providence and the Family Islands. But when they live, close to school, then we don't. Their parents have to make sure they get to school. But when there is a distance, we provide the support.
Yeah. Okay. How many people take advantage of that?
Well, in the Family Islands, the majority, they don't have a choice. Right. Because if you live very far from the school, you have to get on that bus. In New Providence, our buses are full. We have on occasion, like last year, we put a new route in place. Just one, though, So where there's the need, we do it.
And if people need to be a part of that, who do they contact? How do they get?
Number one, they would have to contact the school to see what's available, because they'll speak to the principal. And, of course, once we know where the route is, because it has to be within the route, or the route, as some people call it.
Right. All right. Time is going. You have to go. Thank you so much for the extra time, Dominique McCartney-Russell. Always a pleasure. Our second time talking. But thank you very much. Hopefully we'll talk again soon.
Thank you very much, too, for the opportunity.
All right. We're going to take a break and be back. This is Morning Blend Business. A lot more to talk about after the break. Stay with us. Calling all junior and senior high school students, you could win a brand new iPad for the new school year. Enter the Plato Alpha Design Essay Competition. All you have to do is write a strong and convincing essay on the topic, what does going digital mean to you? For junior high students, your word limit is 1,000 words. For senior high students, your word limit is 1,500 words. To enter, email your essay along with your name, school, and grade level, as well as your parents' contact information to alpha@platoalpha.com by Friday, September 22nd. The winners will be announced on Guardian Radio on September 29th. The winner for each category walks away with a brand new iPad. It's the Plato Alpha Design Essay Competition, powered by Guardian Radio 96.9 FM.
Ready to save? You can put $100 into the CFAL Savings Express Plan and make sure your money keeps growing. Earn interest on your savings while you're sleeping, eating, or standing in line at the bank. Ready to invest? Start by putting $1,000 into our mutual funds and earn interest there too. Because at CFAL, your interest is our interest. Visit CFAL.com to start now. CFAL, growing wealth for future generations of Bahamians.
You've tried everything. ASUS with your mother's cousin's sister's auntie, and even hiding your money under your mattress. But is your money safe? Your Bahamian dollar deposit in a member bank or credit union is insured up to $50,000. If anything happens, your deposit up to the insured value will be returned to you thanks to Deposit Insurance. Visit Deposit Insurance Corporation at www.dic.bf.
Protection for your money guaranteed with DIC.
The Access Accelerator Small Business Development Center is here to help small businesses throughout the entire Bahamas. To better serve you, we've made it easier to contact us. Call 461-7232, WhatsApp 359-0626 or 359-2394, email helpdesk@spdcbahamas.com, or submit a ticket when you visit our help center at accessaccelerator.org. The Access Accelerator, empowering small business.
It's back to school season again. Send your kids off with everything they need, from books, uniforms to school supplies, all with a Fidelity personal loan. Apply today for a chance to win amazing back-to-school prizes. Call 352-6676.
Earning zero interest on your savings at the bank? With as little as $100, you can start earning interest on your money while you're sleeping, eating, or standing in line at the bank with the CFAL Savings Express Plan. Ready to invest? Start by putting $1,000 into our mutual funds and earn interest there too. Because at CFAL, your interest is our interest. Visit CFAL.com to start now. CFAL, growing wealth for future generations of Bahamians.
The signs are clear. It's time to pay less for your current mortgage by switching to Scotiabank. Enjoy lower interest rates and no payments up to 2 months when you switch to Scotiabank today. Plus, we'll even pay your switch costs. It's that easy. Ready to switch to Scotiabank? Call us today at 242-356-1697 or visit bs.scotiabank.com to switch your mortgage to become mortgage-free faster.
Creative Events and Marketing presents Becoming, a transformative women's empowerment summit that will take place on September 24 at the National Training Agency located on Gladstone Road at 3 p.m. Phenomenal speakers include DeQuesta Dean, Simone Bowe, Shirley Pinder, Marissa Mason-Smith, and Dr. Nyambi Campbell-Dean. Not to mention a flaunted fashion show segment hosted by Miss Phyllis Garraway. Tickets are $50 and can be purchased at the Nassau Guardian or Essence Med Spa, number 15 Bradley Street, Palmdale. Part proceeds will be donated to the Jenny Dean Caring and Sharing Cancer Support Group.
It is time for your morning business report, brought to you by CFAL, Cable Bahamas Limited, and BTC are concerned with the eventual cost of the rollout of 5G, with BTC noting to IRCA in its recently released public consultation on the demand for enhanced internet connectivity and 5G in the Bahamas that the two mobile companies cannot bear the cost of 5G alone. The document is part of IRCA's Phase 1 plan on the question of 5G and enhanced internet connectivity. According to the document, BTC noted that the cost of achieving universal service objective coverage throughout the Bahamas will be significant, and as such that it was, quote, unrealistic to believe that this cost could be borne entirely by BTC and CBL alive. BTC suggested that a suitable government USO funding program for the country should be established as part of IRCA's planned universal service framework. While IRCA did not wish to wholly cover the issue of its licensing of satellite internet service provider Starlink, both companies noted that its presence in the Bahamas could undercut their services and preclude their appetite for large investment in a 5G network, especially on the Family Islands. They also called for IRCA and the government to make a final decision on the possibility of a third mobile license. They listed this specific issue as a roadblock to future capital investment planning. The Bahamas National Statistical Institute, the BNSI, releasing its Consumer Price Index for June 2023, revealing that the monthly inflation rate in the country, which represents the overall change in prices, increased by 0.1% when compared to May 2023. The BNSI revealing that the Consumer Price Index for May showed that inflation increased by 0.4% when compared to April. For the latest CPI for June, transportation of food and non-alcoholic beverages increased 3% and 1% respectively when compared to May. Alcoholic beverages, tobacco, and narcotics, along with miscellaneous goods and services, recorded decreases of 0.9% and 0.2% for the month. And on a year-over-year basis, the CPI rose 3% over the same period last year in 2022. It says the major categories that contributed to the rise included recreation and culture, along with alcoholic beverages, and increases of 21%, 10%, respectively. Read more on the report in today's Guardian Business section. Overseas, a walk through the busy business district of Mombasa Road in Nairobi, or even a rural community in Kenya, highlights something that's getting the attention of the African Climate Summit in Nairobi going on this week: solar power that is not connected to the grid. With or without the encouragement of government policy, families and businesses are choosing off-grid solar in the face of an unreliable grid in Africa. According to the World Bank, the number of so-called mini-grids, meaning solar systems that support a cluster of homes or businesses, has grown from 500 in Africa in 2000 to 3,000 today. In Kenya, the price of electricity has risen due to higher fuel costs, driving some to form their own local grids. It's not just individual homes in Kenya. Solar energy's reliability and lower cost, despite initial high installation capital, has attracted steel manufacturers and cooking oil factories, who form some of the biggest clients for one Nairobi-based company. CP Solar's managing director is saying his company has installed 25 megawatts of solar systems in the past 6 years. Over 500 million people in sub-Saharan Africa don't have reliable access to electricity. Power outages are common. Renewable energy is more reliable, but its promise for the region still remains largely unmet. The African nations below the Sahara have 60% of the world's solar potential. Kenyan President William Ruto telling a ministerial session at the Climate Summit this week that the nearly year-round sunshine in Africa makes the region unique. He said in Nigeria, as in Kenya, things are changing. Most households have depended on gasoline generators for power, but recently the government has removed a gasoline subsidy, prompting increased interest in solar power, according to dealers. Closer to home in your Market Watch, recapping trading on the BISX from Tuesday. Your market movers: Bahamas Property Fund moving 1,000 shares, closing up 7 cents to $7. Finco moving 700, unchanged at $12.30. Cable Bahamas moving 500, unchanged at $4.24. Colina Holdings moving 500, unchanged at $10. Consolidated Water closing at 548 unchanged. Emira Incorporated unchanged at 922. The BISX All Share Index closing at 2,713.34. That's up 73.92. That's your Market Watch. And that is your morning business report, brought to you by CFAL, growing wealth for future generations.
I've just closed my eyes again, climbed aboard the Dreamweaver train, trying to take away my worries of today and leave tomorrow behind. I believe you can get me through the night. Ooh, Dreamweaver, I believe we can reach the morning light. Fly me high through the stars.
We are back here with Morning Blend Business on Guardian Radio 96.9. Dwight Strachan along with Chester Robards. And got a lot to talk about in the remainder of the show. So you just heard that report coming out of Africa. Again, they are having the African Climate Summit in Kenya, in Nairobi. But pretty interesting that they are facing a lot of the same challenges that we are seeing here in the Bahamas. Power outages, high electricity rates, or mainly because of fuel. And many families choosing to form their own little mini grids. And it's been proposed that perhaps if neighbors can come together and do that here, we can relieve our massive national headache. You know what it is, those three letters. Right? Are people having those conversations? Are you talking to your neighbors? Can you come up with a plan between maybe the three or four of you who have lots that are joining each other or something, or maybe a whole block or something? Can you do it? Is it possible? Will it work? Are you considering it? Right? If you can't go on your own with it, right? Are we looking at all the possibilities? Because I mean, if you're waiting for the government to save you on this, they again, no one has ever, right? The one time I suggested that perhaps they take the VAT off while the fuel charges is so high, everyone laughed at that. Not even the public is saying that the government will, right? Like, people aren't even saying that's a great idea, we need to demand it. Everyone's laughing. Oh, they'll never do that. So if we're so sure of that, then you know they're not going to help save you. So, but although I implore people to continue to push for the VAT to be lifted until the fuel surcharge comes down, that they caused it to be this high. Remember that? But no, what do you think? No? Can't they?
Can we afford little microgrid places? I don't know.
Can we afford the electricity bills we're getting?
None. We can't afford anything.
No, okay. I don't know. But interesting, again, what's going on in other parts of the world. All right, so we're running to this 5G discussion in just a bit. This text came in as we were wrapping up a discussion with the acting director of education, Dominique McCartney-Russell. This person says here, Dwight, if you have a tradesperson making $120 a day times 50 weeks, that equals $30,000 per year, no degree, and you have teachers going to college for 4 years, plus 1 year of training, and their starting salary is $32,000, then it makes no sense for a man to go into teaching because they simply cannot take care of their family on $32,000 a year.
That's what you said.
Yeah. Challenging times. What? Then this person says here, maybe the female administrators should stop pushing the male teachers out of the profession. I had a few former male teachers who told me that. What now? What?
Pushing them out?
Oh, gosh. We. Oh, dear.
How?
I guess, I don't know, just being difficult to work with. I don't know. I don't know what they mean. Okay. This person says here, no disrespect, but rather a challenge. When we hear the director and ministers propose that the public schools are so good and have the resources and capacity to provide and produce quality education, there is little to no confidence in their talks when their actions show different, mainly by the fact that they all prefer to provide private education to their own children and grandchildren. And they wanted me to ask her how her children were educated. Oh boy! Well, yeah, if you are a regular listener to the show, you know that is something that I propose. I've been talking about it.
I think they're a regular listener to the show.
Yeah, you think so?
Yeah.
That perhaps definitely the ministers, the elected officials, definitely should be sending their children. I guess it would be a show of confidence if the director did as well. I'm pretty sure it would make a big difference. Pretty sure. Well, she did say that she was educated at public schools, so who knows? But that was a different time, perhaps. I don't know. But yeah, and we have to demand these things as a populace. This one says here, as an employer for many years, my experience is that the basic skills, such as arriving to work on time, establishing eye contact when speaking with colleagues or managers, the inability to maturely convey information is grossly lacking and getting worse. On the job, we have the weighty task to retrain the people to adopt skills that they should have been acquired in school or at home. Yeah, that's pretty rough. Oh boy. That's serious. Yeah, as you say, at home too. So this is a bigger problem. This might be an issue, and we talked about this a few weeks ago when we had a discussion about customer service, right? What is the issue there? Why are Bahamians, many, not all, but many, not able to look you in the eye when they're talking to you? Is it seen as a disrespect to look somebody in the eye? What is that about?
Well, again, it goes back to what you're taught. I was taught all my life to look people in the eye. But there's a cycle. When you grow up in a house where people may not look at others in the eye, then what are you going to grow up doing?
Yeah, that's rough.
And some people do have things to hide. So they do act very shadily when they talk to you.
That is true. Let's take this call. Good morning, caller. You're on the air.
Yeah, good morning, Mr. Strong. Good morning, Jester.
Hi, good morning.
Yeah, great conversation. You know, Dwight, I mean, I'm seeing this schism, they say in public and private schools. I went to both. One of my brothers went to both. He's very intelligent. So, I mean, there's a syllabus and there's a curricula, right? So, I mean, if it is standardized across the board, I mean, it should be the same syllabus, the same curricula for the exams, et cetera, et cetera. I've seen and heard where the BJCSE, they have different levels of English and maths. I never heard about that, but, you know, what I wanted to share was that they should standardize it. And one of the things that, I hate to call her name, she used to be alive. I know Sheila Strong, Father Strong's wife. She taught me English language. And she was very strict with me because she said I was like kind of rebellious. So she used to like watch me. And they had like programs where, like when we doing English, some of the teachers would let us come in front of the class and recite poems and things like that just to face an audience. And this would have started from the grade 8, grade 9. And what I had noticed was some of the students were shy and they would come up and they would giggle and show grimaces and just hide their faces. So maybe if they would implement this or introduce this, I think some teachers should be prudent enough to know that this is a way to initiate public speaking. Like you won't be shy. I mean, it happens. Everybody gets a little tension in the nerves, but it's something that you have to grow out of. It's something that just could happen. But it all comes with with confidence. With what's in between your head. So I could speak, but you understand, you don't have to work with people. That's just a lot of people were exposed to that then. That's what I'm saying. I thought that helped me then, because I mean, we used to have to get up and go in front of the class and recite, and she would grade us like that also.
Yeah.
So I don't know if they want to start that, because, I mean, obviously it's needed, because they hear the guy who said that's not some of the problems he see with employment. Also, I experienced it on the job, too. A lot of people were, even some of my bosses, right? They were not good at explaining things. I don't know why, but apparently I was. And I saw things that needed to be, you know what I mean? And sometimes you would even write a logbook, and it would be so important that it can cost the hotel to shut down, but people didn't read the logbook, and then they say, well, you did this and you did that. I say, but it's in the logbook.
Wow.
But nobody read it, so the whole chiller system shut down, hence the hotel had an air conditioning problem, because people didn't understand what you was writing. Everybody thought you was above them, so they wouldn't read it. But you had things that happens. Bless up. Yeah.
Oh, interesting stuff. Thank you very much. Yeah, I mean, we did the same thing, 52 in school. I think that's probably why I'm in broadcasting now. From primary school, you had to get up and read in front of the class. You had to read all the time. I used to hate it sometimes, but sometimes I liked it. You would think that was going on everywhere. Maybe not. Maybe it was specific to certain schools, certain teachers, and maybe the class size makes a difference as well. But that is definitely a way to recognize when there is a problem, and that, right, you show, okay, this, you're reading below grade level. Everybody else here can manage this, but you've got an issue. And then point to the parents and to the teachers as well that we're going to have to do something a little bit different with this student. But I think people take these things for granted. They assume that these things are happening everywhere, but maybe not. And this is why parents have to take a role, an active role in this as well. Ask your child to read to you. Read this out loud to me. Maybe buy a newspaper or something for them to read to you and see what happens. You might not understand what they're reading either, but let's just see if they're making sense, if they can flow, or if they're struggling with even simple words.
But then some households, you can't react to the child in a certain way when you find out they can't do something or aren't doing well in something.
Sure. But again, if this child is 12, 13, 14, I mean, you are going to quickly want to blame the school, but you have to take some responsibility for this as well.
That's the point.
Right? Because from 3, you should have been monitoring how this is going. But hey. Okay, so let's get into this. BTC and Cable Bahamas. We've been hearing this for years, it seems, about 5G. And a few years ago, we heard third phone company or 5G, but it can't be both. Remember that? And so we're still here. I think everyone's moving on from 5G around the world to bigger things, but we're still on LTE, hey? This person's, so Chester Robarts, Chester Robarts writing today, who was that guy? Cable Bahamas and Bahamas Telecommunications Company, BTC, are concerned with the eventual cost of the rollout of 5G, with BTC noting in IRCA's recently released public consultation on the demand for enhanced internet connectivity and 5G in the Bahamas, that the two mobile companies cannot bear the cost of 5G alone. The document is part of IRCA's Phase 1 plan on the question of 5G and enhanced internet connectivity. In the consultation document, BTC noted that the cost of achieving USO, that's Universal Service Objective coverage throughout the Bahamas, will be significant, and as such, it is unrealistic to believe that this cost should be borne entirely by BTC and CBL Alive. BTC suggested that a suitable government USO funding program for the Bahamas should be established as part of IRCA's planned Universal Service Framework Review. Government funding. While IRCA did not wish to wholly cover the issue of its licensing of satellite internet service provider Starlink, both companies noted that its presence in the Bahamas could undercut their services and preclude their appetite for large investment in a 5G network. Okay, that's an interesting way to look at things. Since they're competing with us, we are going to invest so that we become more competitive? Is that what they're saying here?
Well, I mean, when you look at what they're saying about the Family Islands, it kind of makes more sense. I mean,
no, well, for the Family Islands, sure, maybe, but I mean, okay. Sure. They also called for IRCA and the government to make a final decision on the possibility of a third mobile license. They listed this specific issue as a roadblock to future capital investment planning. CBL Alive said in the document that they noted that there are several important issues which are not mentioned in the consultation document that IRCA needs to address, including spectrum allocation, massed deployment. That's what? Specific towers. Network sharing, and the decision on the third mobile operator, which is part of the agreement, right? That's that was the deal with introducing a second, that within a few years there would be possibly a third. Wasn't that how it went? So they all knew this was likely to happen, which is
they're
interesting.
They're not saying, they're saying make a decision on it so we could decide what to do.
Whether or not to invest.
Right.
Okay. Such issues need to be resolved by IRCA in the near future. In contrast, the issues identified by IRCA in the consultation document can be addressed by the market or existing processes without the need for IRCA to spend its limited resources on them. This is CBL's view, CBL Alive. It also said regarding connectivity on the Family Islands, CBL Alive noted that the provision of high-speed communications to remote islands with small populations is expensive and uneconomic. That's a word? Uneconomic? But businesses and residents have a right to them. CBL Live noted that IRCA's proposal to consider such issues under its Universal Service Review is not adequate for the task, and stated that Universal Service Regulations set out minimum service levels, and businesses and residents in the Family Islands should have access to services that are better than minimum standard. All right, so BTC also raised the issue of the cost of communications companies bearing to produce power for tower sites and their networks due to the unreliability and instability of the power in the country. Now, IRCA did not specifically address the issue, but the issue is directly related to the other regulated companies, of course, BPL, one of the companies it regulates. IRCA said its next step is to use the information gleaned from the consultation document to form the basis for discussions with the licensees and the government on the best way forward for 5G. All right, so the telecommunications companies, a long list of excuses as to why we might not see some technological improvements, but BPL, we can all understand that one. I guess we can't fault them for that. I'm sure that's holding back a lot of people from improving their industries. But let's get your views on it, folks. 5G, a third mobile company, do we need it? And other improvements in telecommunications. Are you noticing a plateau of the services we're getting? Are things regressing? Hearing more and more complaints from some people. What's your experience? Chester's making up his face. What's happening?
Do we need a third mobile company? I mean,
I don't know.
Starlink is a.
Right.
If you ask me, is a third mobile company.
So what? Starlink isn't quite promoting itself. Who's it available to? How does this work?
And they have a license here, so you can get it.
So what?
It's not cheap. As a startup, as the startup cost, it's not cheap. From what I've heard and seen.
Satellite. So if you have a satellite dish when it rains, you have some issues. Does that work like that too?
No.
Okay.
I mean, satellite dishes have changed over.
Not that part.
The years.
Not that part. But
it's Elon Musk's satellite.
Oh, so that's special.
It must be better. I'm going to sell that phrase to him.
No, you didn't. No, you didn't. It's musky. How about that? 323-6232, 325-4316, 325-4259. Call us toll free, 242-300-5720. Tweet us, Facebook us, text us, 422-4796. Okay, let's get to your text messages. Someone says here, 52 made an excellent contribution with the implementation of speech presentations in class. It certainly was not mandatory where they went to school, I guess. Oh, boy. Well, that's... did you have to do that?
Was that?
Talk to the class, come up and do a presentation in high school and primary school? Yeah, we had to do a lot of that. But again, maybe it is the school. Maybe it's the school.
About 5G, I got a text message saying my company raised $50 million for a smart city solution, which places 5G and 4G at every streetlight in the Bahamas.
Country raised
and
what?
and
The
they say they
company
can
did what?
address the power issues for ERCA, BPL, Alive, and BTC.
Was that Elon Musk? Who? Then what? Say it again. The company raised what?
$50 million
What
for
is
a
it?
smart city solution.
50 million what?
Dollars. USD.
Their company?
Yeah, their company.
Who was that? Where is that? What did
They
raise
wish
it
to
for?
remain anonymous at the
For
moment.
which country?
This country.
Read the text again, please, sir. Because what?
My company
Uh-huh.
raised $50 million
from who?
For a smart city solution.
Meaning what?
Which places 5G and 4G at every streetlight in the Bahamas.
50 million what?
And can address the power issues
How?
for ERCA,
By who?
BPL, Alive, and BTC.
50 million people signed. I don't understand.
Do you think they just blow in hot air?
Where's the money? How do they raise it? What are they doing with it?
The question is why
50 million pledges?
Why haven't we been able to access it?
I don't understand the text. Okay.
It's like everything around
What
here. What do
now?
you mean? The question is why haven't we been able to access it? That's
Mm-hmm.
the question.
Texter, I'm not going to read the second part of your text out loud, but this is a private company, and right, so that doesn't make any sense. What you're saying, it's very silly. So, but we're working to improve some things, but that understand what the role is of things. That doesn't make sense. But anyway, let's get to the other text here. Why don't they stop talking silliness? The two mobile companies can't get LTE 4G or 3G right, but they want the government to subsidize them for 5G. How about the government just shut them down and give the third company the whole gig? Chester and I were talking about this off here. Shortly after coming to office in this go-round, Fred Mitchell was on one of our shows and talked about possibly the government building out the 5G network and leasing it maybe or to the companies. So the government had the infrastructure,
right,
and they wouldn't have to spend the money to do it, but the government would own the infrastructure. And that doesn't sound unreasonable. Is that still on?
Is that like a PPP?
Nobody
knows.
It's
what
a little
PPP
bit different,
is.
but you know, I mean, we haven't heard much talk since then about that.
Yeah.
And Fred Mitchell is complaining a lot about the companies.
Services, yeah.
Right? A lot. But that sounds like a way to go. Why haven't we heard more about it? So it's interesting. This person says here, what is the valuation of both companies and how much new value will be created with 5G? What does the 5G study say it will cost? Do we know about the cost?
To build out the network?
Mm-hmm.
No, doesn't say anything about the actual cost.
And it says, if we want 5G, then the public should help to finance it. Well, I guess if the government does it, that would mean that. We don't need another mobile company in the Bahamas. We need another power company. Oh, my. Well. Okay. Continue to call in 323-6232. 325-4316, 325-4259, or toll free 242-300-5720. Any idea? I know the report says that ERCA is going to use this to form their recommendations, but any idea along what timelines are looking like?
So the companies, I should have put this in the story and they didn't, said 3 to 4 years.
What?
3 to 4 years.
Say what now?
3 to 4 years.
That's what ERCA say?
No.
I mean, nothing would happen for another 3 to 4 years?
The widespread rollout of 5G could be 3 to 4 years. They're suggesting
While
that
the rest of the world will be
that
on 8 or 9G by
but
then.
they're suggesting that everybody doesn't need 5G right away. That there are some portions of society, businesses that may need the increased speed and low latency, but everybody doesn't need it all at once. Also, it's expensive to build, so 3 to 4 years. Unless the government builds it, like was suggested, maybe it wouldn't take 3 to 4 years.
Of course, we'll be wondering where the money comes from. But as the previous texter said, the public would fund it. But I mean,
so
this is what people wanted with BTC along, right? That we not sell the infrastructure. And
So
this would be their way to solve that.
So the arguments that were in it would have been 1,000-word story had I written everything, but the arguments in there suggest, so like tourism hotspots, Americans have 5G, they expect 5G services where they go, they might need it downtown. Okay, fine. Or in areas where hotels are.
Mm-hmm. And you need many more towers, we're told.
Yeah, so you spot it in those areas because that's what these people expect.
Yeah.
They argue that most businesses and people now have faster internet at home, and so they don't really go out in the street expecting that they need to use a fast network on their cell phones when they go to the office or go to their house, and they have fiber to the home now. So it's not necessary at the moment to have a widespread rollout.
Interesting.
That's the argument.
I do believe the last time we had the BTC CEO on, he said that the increase in the number of towers might create a visual pollution of sorts, and that people might not be interested in all of that.
Right.
So, boy, that's a lot to think about there. This person says, you realize that you'll need to upgrade your Cat wire for 5G, probably a Cat 7 wire, which is not cheap. Technical stuff there, but that's interesting as well. So we'll see. We'll see how this goes.
So someone sent me a link, and like I was saying, the Starlink setup cost is somewhere close to $600. But then, like, the monthly fee isn't crazy.
Okay. All right. Good to know.
So once you get the equipment, then,
yeah,
you're straight.
Well, I'm sure you will keep us posted, Chester Robards. Thank you very much
What
for
are you gonna keep
reporting
posted
there
on?
on this, on where things go with 5G
for
and all that
for
stuff.
sure.
Thank you very much. Thank you for being here this morning.
You can find that document, the IRCA document, on their website.
Yeah.
It's like 30 pages or so.
Oh, boy. Fun times. Okay. Thank you. See you next week. I'll be back tomorrow morning with more Morning Blend and Morning Blend Business here on Guardian Radio 96.9. Dwight, Strachan, have a great day, everybody. Stay tuned. On the Clock with Aaron Green coming up next.
Just close my eyes.